When I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I grew older, I set aside childish ways. Corinthians 13:11. In the distant future, mankind has spread into the stars and found it is not alone. Within the cluster of planets known as the Silrain Heart, many races strive for survival or supremacy. But throughout this array of planets, societies, and cultures, each has one thing in common: the crucibles. Scattered throughout the galaxy, each moon-sized structure contains a core of raw sorin, a form of mysterious energy used to power ships, cities, and sometimes the warping of the fabric of reality itself. Beings who can do this have been given a name: Espers. The power of God has been granted to God's children. It is a time of terror. It is a time of wonder. It is the time of Esper Genesis.
That's what I'm talking about. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Arvanauts. Welcome, everyone, to day 65 of Esper Genesis, the episode called Stormfall. We are sponsored, as always, by Alligator Alley Entertainment. Thanks to them. And thank you to all of you for being with us. It has been a long time since we've had this going on, actually. It's been almost 6 weeks because we did this once in June, and we are finally getting to it in late July. It was definitely, we wanted to be playing before this, but a variety of factors came into the way, including mostly real-life stuff. But we have managed to soldier on, and we are getting back into our campaign tonight. I am very excited about that. So thank you all for being here as a part of it. Before we go any further, just a couple of reminders about ways to support us here on the stream. If you haven't done so already, please follow us here on the channel. Please check out our YouTube at !ArvTube, where you can see past broadcasts of this and other streams. !ArvCord is the Discord channel where you can hang out with the Arvanauts in between streams. !ArvTweets is my Twitter, where you can always check out what we are doing as far as, stuff when I go live and when there are changes to a schedule or whatever the case may be. We always try to do stuff like that as well. And you can find all of the website information about that on our website, arvaneleron.com. On the financial side, !ArvShop is the merchandise area where you can get merchandise guys for Infinity and Beyond, Adventures of Middle-earth, and soon to be this very campaign, Esper Genesis, down the line as well. Exclamation point Arv Treon is the Patreon, 23 patrons, $2.14 per month. That's really what allows us to do a lot of stuff like, for example, commission the video that you just saw, along with the music and everything else. I should say that for those of you who since we were talking a little bit about the introductions, we just had a new introduction done for the D&D with GOG campaign that I DM over on GOG Comms Twitch channel. And we've got a new video, which is a new intro video that is being made for the Eberron campaign, which we're going to be doing tomorrow night. I don't think that video is going to be ready by tomorrow, but it will definitely be ready by our sessions in August, and I'm very excited for it. We have all new music that's been commissioned for it and a whole bunch of other things, so I'm super excited about that. And again, that's all made possible through things like the generous support of our patrons, so please consider jumping on board there. You can also get inspirations to help our players and other things like that. You can get things of that nature. What's up, Shadow Mage? Good to see you, man. Also, you can get, if you subscribe to the channel, those custom sub badges and emotes to use across Twitch. And the gentleman who has just said salutations is the same person who down the line is going to be providing some of those new sub badges, which is super exciting, and is extremely gifted. And you'll see that work with a lot of the overlays that he does and all the other stuff. So Shadowed is an awesome person, and I hope everything is well with you, Shadowed. So yes, that is happening as well, and you can support us by subbing to the channel. And on the publishing side, exclamation point Icarus, you're tired. I'm sorry to hear that, but hopefully you can just rest and relax and watch some awesome space content. I hope some space opera content. So exclamation point Icarus is my Icarus graphic novel from Athos Arts. I'm glad that you retired for good reasons. That's good. Exclamation point Icarus, as I say, from Athos Arts. Athos Arts is also responsible for publishing Greyshade and will be responsible for doing the second 2 books in that series when the Kickstarter launches from my Greyshade IP. That's launching August 31st, which is a little over 5 weeks from now, and is going to be going until October 3rd, Sunday, October 3rd, ending at the Origins Convention in Columbus, Ohio. So that's what we're doing with that, and that is going to be happening. Yes, that's going to be happening on August. That's going to be happening August 31st to October 3rd. Exclamation point Greyshade KS for details about that. Alligator Alley Entertainment, by the way, who sponsors this campaign, and of course they are the ones responsible for Esper Genesis. They are also doing the role-playing game version of Greyshade, which is a part of that Kickstarter, designed by Aaron Rosenberg. And last but certainly not least, exclamation point Library, which is Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library, my 5e adventure and sourcebook, also from Alligator Entertainment as well. And last but certainly not least, if you haven't already done so, please check out the 2 links, exclamation point BLM, Black Lives Matter, very important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives, and exclamation point Help Now, the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention, very important to reach out to others when you need help and to reach out to others when they need help as well. Just one couple of quick notes about schedule. Tonight we have Esper Genesis. Tomorrow we have got D&D with Infinity and Beyond, the second session of the month for Eberron, Oracle of War. That's going to wrap up August, and then wrap up August. Let me not get rid of the summer yet. That's going to wrap up July. Then we're going to be moving into the month of August. I've already got a lot of things actually scheduled ahead of time, but I will be confirming those over the weekend, and then we'll have the schedule set for next week. Should have our usual set of awesomeness with all of our tabletop stuff, have a couple of surprises, have some more video game stuff with Solasta on GOG, and with Neverwinter Nights 2 on this channel, and a bunch of other things. So we got a bunch of stuff going on down the line, which I'm very excited about, and our usual set of hosted games as well, which is going to be cool. So I am going to be able to talk a little bit about that. But that is a little bit of all we have to say about that, because we have a group of people that are waiting to be able to play some awesome space opera stuff with us. So I'm going to unmute myself so they know we're ready to go. I am sorry, and again, apologize to them for any conversations that I may have interrupted, which were probably fascinating. And now I'm going to jump over to...
Stop shouting obscenities, everyone. I'm just so tired of it.
That does not sound like the Cat Rambo I know. So it is my wonderful pleasure to be able to welcome this great group of friends, writers, talents, game designers, voice actors, musicians, and wonderful role players back to the fold with the Esper Genesis crew. Just before we get started, I have been doing this with all of my campaign folks, and I wanted to do this for these folks as well. I did about a week ago or so, I did a little bit of calculation, and I got a sense of how many players we have on the channel. So we have right now somewhere on the order of 32, I believe it is, people overall that are a part of our campaign that are either hosted on this channel, so like run by Brandon O'Brien or Mike Underwood as part of Speculate, or that I do over on GOG.com. There are a couple of people that do several campaigns. Trending Sparks, for instance, is in a couple of campaigns, so this a little bit double dips in a couple of spots. But I wanted to mention that out of that 32 total, we feature 11 women, 14 men, 7 non-binary, 12 people of color, and 15 non-US. Which is a good start. We have a long way to go. We have a lot more that we want to increase in terms of a broad diversity and representation. But I think it's important to highlight this, as I've been doing for all of my campaigns since I got this information, because I think it's important that if we want to have a hobby which is appealing to a representative audience that's watching it, we ought to be representative ourselves to the extent we can be. And so this is something that over time I have tried to increase in terms of who is being represented and who is, being shown on your screens. And I'm going to continue to make that a priority for this channel. But I was feeling fairly proud about that as we continue to do stuff like this. And I hope that it's something which other channels would take on board because, and I know many of them have, because it's really important that this be something which is available to everyone. And given some of what we've seen over the last couple of months in the industry with some of the so-called old guard pretending to tell you what the old guard thinks about role-playing, for those of us who were actually there in the old days, who perhaps would like to have a word on that, days. I would just like to say something that we'd like to say something a little different than the way they might imagine it. So I thought that was pretty cool. So I just wanted to mention that up front, and I wanted to thank this group of players for being a part of that wonderful mix that we have here every month. And with that said, I'm going to start all the way on the left of the screen as always, and welcome in the amazing and awesome Johnny Pittman, Video Store Cowboy, who, as you can see, is in a very bright room, and that's not because he has his own lightsaber, which was assembled by him by hand in the forges of, I don't know where I'm going with this, but he does have a lightsaber. He showed it to us and it was cool. Johnny, it's good to see you. It's been a while. How's life in the universe with you, sir? And who are you playing today?
Aren't the Jedi supposed to still remain secret at this particular point in the storyline in which we would be building these lightsabers on Batu? I mean, it's supposed to be a secret affair when you walk into Savi's and they give you the parts and have you pick your Kyber crystal. Shh, you're not supposed to say anything.
Can you imagine that? That's going to be the final boss, right? He comes in and all of a sudden, like, you hear, doo, 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 like, oh my God, it worked. We got Luke here. That's how this is. This is the big crossover to Star Wars. Just wait.
Right.
We need that. Well, hey, there's his ship's right there on the map.
Whatever. We have a Disney connection here. Carlos just waves a hand a little bit, and it's all going to happen. It's fine.
Oh yeah, I see Jedi's like all the time.
Yeah.
Is this one of those fabled sort of like Patton Oswalt sort of like monologues where he brings in like Star Wars and Marvel and every other fandom whatsoever and just like sort of brings it all into the
Exactly.
All right. Yeah, no, things are good. Yes, I did build a lightsaber. It was a lot of fun. I would bring it out of its sheath again, but it would get a little complicated and I'd have to turn some lights off and it would take a little time. So maybe at the end. Otherwise, things are good. Preparing to move my daughter across country. And yeah, that's a quagmire and fun, and especially with the Delta variant. So, and I want to say something very quickly about what you just talked about in respect to inclusion and diversity on the channel. I think it's great to start highlighting that as more and more of that conversation keeps being in the opposite direction. So thank you for doing that. Yeah. And I will be playing an Ashran Forged Melder by the name of Aramis. And that's it.
Good stuff. It is great to have Johnny on with us. It is also great to have Kat Rambo on with us. Kat, of course, not at all foul-mouthed. Very important to recognize. No swearing at all. That's very, very critically important. Kat, it is good to see you. How are you doing? How's life going along with you? And who are you playing today?
I am doing well. I'm excited because I'm off to Laramie, Wyoming next week to spend a week at Launchpad, which I am super stoked about.
Yeah.
Little nervous about traveling, but I'll be masked. I now have advanced reading copies of the book, but it's not coming out in September anymore. They've bumped it to November.
Oh,
Sad,
really?
but true. But it's the week of my birthday, so that will be exciting. Tonight, I am playing Petra Sinis, Ashen Forged Sentinel, with a large hammer, a strong sense of right and wrong, and a mysterious affinity for machines.
Yes, and we're going to see, we might see more examples of that coming up. Always a pleasure, Kat. Thank you. It's good to see you. Yeah, Shadow Mage, by the way, a new camera capture focused overlay. I would be excited to hear that. Shadowed and I have had big plans. We've got sub badge work that we're doing. We've got new overlays coming into play. It is all coming up. Millhouse, by which I mean Shadowed Mage. So it is that is definitely happening. And the cam thing is something which I want to do in part because I've seen it in a lot of other channels, and I think it's a good idea to show the players who are the fundamental part of what makes this what it is. And when we don't need a map, and we don't always need a map, it's nice to be able to have those. So yes, that's awesome. I talked to Shadowed about this with a couple of other games too. So anyway, thank you, Kat, and also many thanks to Carlos Hernandez, who was with us. And we were just talking about the vacations we all choose to go on. We were talking about some people go to Disney World, and Carlos goes elsewhere, and that's how things are. That's how things are. That's how things are run in Carlos's household. How are you doing, my friend? How is life in the universe with you? And
what
who
an
are you playing
enigmatic lead-in.
I know, I did it on purpose. I was like, I wanted to see where you would go. Exactly.
Oh man, so I'm about to start an epic American adventure where I've got a car that's way too big for myself and our passengers, and we are going to be cruising up the eastern seaboard to visit various ironworks that exist as museums there, partially because my wife Claire is going to be doing research for a novella or something that might even end up to be a short novel, but also just because it seems like it will be interesting and a little bit spooky. So we are going to have a really great time. We were initially going to camp, but then I was like, Airbnb is like camping except nice. So I think we'll probably end up doing
Can confirm.
More. Right, exactly. So we're just about to start an epic adventure. Writing's going well, game development's going well. I'll have more news on that in other episodes, but today I think we should focus on playing. I am playing Ludoku Sleepwell, a catman, an engineer, a healer, and somebody who thinks he has a better moral compass than maybe plays out in the fullness of time.
That's speaking of enigmatic and yet quite appropriate, epigraphs to Sleepwell. I am very excited to see what Sleepwell gets up to, and always a pleasure to have Carlos with us, and also always a pleasure to have Mr. Zach Clay with us. We do get a chance to see Zach on our vocalist as well, and I get to see Zach separately because I'm cool, so he gets to play in my band, and so that's the awesomeness that I get. No, but it is always good to have Zach with us. And Zach, now, of course, although now you're seated again, see, because I know you had the standing desk thing going on, but now it appears you've also decided to sit at various times. So I assume this is just to keep me off balance, basically, is the plan? Okay.
Yep. And right. I could also just do this if I wanted to. Never mind. Of course, when you want it to work, it doesn't work.
Do this.
I can do this. Wait.
I also button, could do this.
It's not working. Hold on. Here, I'll try it one more time.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Yep. Listen, man, until you get that on hydraulics, I don't want to hear it, all right? If you start
It is on hydraulics.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
talking a little bit
so,
of a low
anyway,
rider,
hold on a moment as I make it go down again.
Good times.
Hello, everyone. I am Zach Clay. Yes, I have a standing desk. It's very nice. I am sitting at it though now. I'm doing pretty well, pretty good. Also gearing up for school. They got the professor side of stuff. I'm back on the student side of things. Also gearing up to continue running D&D for students, as I'm continuing to do that with the well-renowned Richard Molina Weber. And tonight, I'm very excited to continue in our, I keep wanting to call it end game, just because of the ramifications of who we are going to be fighting sometime soon, TM.
Mm-hmm.
But
TM.
the end game of Esper Genesis here, and seeing where the session goes, because I have no idea where it will go. So I am playing Cosmoritis, which sounds like a space disease, but it isn't. It is a Bellare hunter / specialist with a very large sniper to match Petra's very large hammer.
Yes, and this group, which by the way is level 9, and is continuing to reach these dizzying heights of ability, like pretty soon will be galaxy spanning, I have no doubt. Listen, if they just talk about wanting to get some stones to put in a glove and then snap their fingers, it's not my doing. I'm just letting you know.
Yep.
If that ever comes up, that's the thing that's happening.
Yeah.
But it is very exciting to have them with us. And with no further ado, let's fire up the music. Let's talk about what happened. Since it has been a little while, let's talk about what happened as we reach this inflection point, I think it's fair to say, within what we've got here. So let's fire up some ethereal plane.
Ah, yes.
There we go.
Order it up.
All right. In our last session, the party, the crew, has been trying to deal with the following situation. They have, of course, for some time been having to deal with the rise of, and in fact, I clearly should call the end of the adventure the rise of the long winter. But they have been trying to deal with this ever-growing threat of this incredibly advanced cyber virus called the Long Winter, which was originally created and put into circulation, apparently, at the behest of a rogue organization that was part of a very large corporation known as Zephyr Corporation. The rogue part of it was called Stormdark. And Stormdark was this rogue splinter group that has been engaged in all these various experiments with artificial intelligence and also bioorganics, trying to mix the two together, which generally doesn't end well, and also has some odd ties to something known as the Shadow Technocracy, with which this group has had some run-ins before. In a previous adventure, the party had managed to rescue a famous sim star known as Bliss Larkham, who, as it turned out, had some powerful hold on the people around her, and in fact they were planning to use, the Shadow Technocracy / Stormdark was planning to use Bliss Larkham to further the advancement of this terrible cyber virus of which the Long Winter is connected. But the party managed to thwart that at the cost of being personas non grata on the Bastion, and so ended up departing there and ended up heading back to Pelseros. But something funny happened on the way to the Forum, which is once they got back there, they discovered a couple of things. First of all, one of their major contacts, Arisa Angel, had vanished. Secondly, Arisa Angel, who originally had been working with Zephyr Corporation, had been with, at the time, the kidnapped Bliss Larkham, who had been taken again by apparently the Shadow Technocracy. Now, the reason that all of this matters, beyond the fact that they, would prefer that people not get kidnapped, is that Bliss Larkham, it turns out, is the daughter of Makar Prasan, who used to work for Zephyr Corporation and was directly responsible for the coding that eventually led to things like the Long Winter. He is also the one responsible for the coding of Alfred, which is the AI, which the various versions of which the party has run into during the campaign, and is responsible for having coded the Hyperlance, the incredibly advanced ship which allows them to travel the galaxy at great speeds and to do so often undetected. All of these things are things Makar Prasan was responsible for. And so the party went to try to track down this person who supposedly had information about it. It turned out Makar Prasan himself had died, but not before he had placed his consciousness, or at least his intelligence, his personality, his knowledge, into this sim and given it to his Alfred, which he had programmed. The party made the decision to actually use the sim card and input that program into Alfred, and Alfred then basically took on the personality, essentially, of Makar Prasan, and gave them the information they needed to get to the secret base of Stormdark, known as Stormwatch. When the party arrived on the back of this really dreadful freighter, which is not the Hyperlance, but they managed to get through, they survived it, and then a rather harrowing motorbike, electrotrike transition across the planet's surface. They managed to get to the base, get into the hangar, and discover there a computer terminal and a rather deserted place, with the exception of these 2 drones that continue to go backwards and forwards to the north and south. Alfred got out of their ship and went into the computer, and when he accessed the security, because they needed Alfred to get into this base, when they accessed security, he discovered that there are 2 sections to this base, the western side and the eastern side. And the problem here is that there is power on the eastern side, which is, sorry, is that right? No, I'm sorry. That the eastern side apparently is still controlled. The western side, I'm sorry. I'm looking at them and they have their directions wrong. The western side, my apologies, is the area that is still controlled by Laris Baludan's security forces. The other side, run to by the eastern elevator, seems to not have power to it. The Baludan's security forces do not control this side of the base. And as Alfred said at the very end of last session, there is something alive down there. And so the party now has a decision to make. How are they going to infiltrate this base? Will they do so by trying to avoid and or engage Baladin's security forces? Or will they try to go through the random something is alive down there section of the base? Not that Zach, in another game he's playing, would have any reason to know anything about what happens when you go into abandoned bases with something alive on them. When they go down there, will they be able to find Laris Baladin himself, who, of course, supposedly has Aricia Angel and Bliss Larkham kidnapped, and who is one of their major adversaries and has been behind a lot of what Stormdark has been doing. And so with all of that laid out there, sorry, I had to compress a lot into a few minutes and a lot of time into about 6 weeks of missed time. So with that said, I'm going to hand things back over to the party. Alfred has just said the thing about they don't control that side of the base. Something is alive down there, and now is looking at you, Sleepwell, because I believe you were the one who was down there along with him, while Kaz and Aramis and Petra, I think, are back on the ship, if I'm not mistaken. Like this ship, the little mini ship that they're in here. So, Sleepwell, I'm going to lay that out to you first. Alfred has just said those things to you.
So, I immediately sort of say, can you say that again, but into the comms? And I kind of lean in so that he can use my comms to just sort of relay all of this information to everybody. Because that's a mouthful, and we can just assume that has been sent to everybody too.
Yep.
And so, I basically, I'm also looking at those drones because I'm not sure what's going on with them right now.
The drones are slowly drifting forward. What they've been doing is taking this relatively sort of consistent patrol arc, not even an arc really, just a passage, where they get down a certain distance, then turn around and come back the other way. Right now they've gotten to this point. They're still drifting forward, although very slowly. One thing that I want to point out that you don't even need to check to see, Sleepwell, is that this very much looks like an automated path, and it doesn't look like one with a lot of variation. So it's almost like, all right, like it's nobody customized it, right? Like they were just like, all right, patrol pattern B or whatever, and then they went to do something else. So whoever came in and set this patrol path didn't take a lot of time to do it for whatever reason.
Okay, so then I'm also just sort of observing their pattern. I don't know if this would be like an intelligence check or something, but can I remember how far they went, as I've been watching them? Just to know if they're going to basically bump into us or if they're going to turn around beforehand. I don't know if that's
It's going to be close. From what you remember, you moved the ship about as close as you could so that they would kind of block the path. And you estimated that they were going to stop right about here. If you're right, then that means that they're going to reach there, turn around, and go back. And they're going to reach that area in probably, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds. And then you'll know for sure if they go the rest of the way or if they turn around.
So, in the meantime, I'm going to talk to the Alfred and just say, hey, do you have the ability to, like, control those bots? Maybe alter their pattern while you're hooked in there?
And he looks at you and says, let me see if I've got my new, I have a new mixer, and it's got some bells and whistles now. So let's see if I've got my thing set up. Let's see if that worked. Yeah, it did, but not the right one. Test 2.
Alfred?
Test 2. No. Oh, maybe that's right. Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Okay. So, you should be hearing me with sort of multiple voices, theoretically.
Mm-hmm.
Yes? Okay. So, Alfred responds, I can probably do something like that, Sleepwell. But if I try to break in and hack into either one of the drones, it is possible they're going to know I'm there. Especially if, well, you know who is already in the base here. And he kind of looks at you meaningfully, as in, presumably, long winter, you know who.
Right. So I'm like, so you're thinking it's a little bit too much of a risk. That's what you're saying to me?
I'm concerned about it, but if you think it's important, I don't mind doing it. It's just, well, I'm not quite ready to face him yet, but he may not be here yet either. It's certainly they're not acting like he is. And at this point, the drones have come up to like here-ish now. And you can now hear, Sleepwell, just the very like faintest like hum of the drones as they're just moving this way.
You know what? Let's take control of them.
All right. Do you want to position yourself somewhere just in case? If it doesn't work, well, I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah. And I'm going to sort of like position myself so I've got some at least partial or maybe full shielding from the ship between myself and the drones.
Okay.
And I'm going to just say to everybody, hey, everybody, I went ahead and I'm having Alfred take control of those floating drones just in case they were just about to detect us and blow our cover. We'll see how it works. Sleepwell out.
We did just hear that entire conversation based on what Sleepwell just did, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, you sure did.
Sleepwell?
Oh, sorry. No.
This isn't an 80s movie, Sleepwell. Please.
What's
did
an
he just
80s
say
movie?
that
Okay,
didn't he
here
just
goes.
say that this is going to be a...
So the drones...
Wait, you're breaking up. I couldn't understand that for real.
The drones
I'd like to
come
think
here.
they're really only, what, like 15 feet away from each other?
Yeah, so they come here about this to the thing, and they slow down. And then there is kind of a moment where, Sleepwell, you see one of them wobbles, and this one kind of goes over and literally bumps into the side of the ship. And those of you who are on the little sort of, because I believe, I just want to make sure, I think you're on it, right? The three of you are actually on that thing. So it literally bumps into it, and as it bumps into us, you all feel it, you know, a little bit like this. And there's a pause, and then... Okay, I think I have them. Sort of. It's strange. It feels like having 2 extra fingers or something. But yes, I think I have them. And you can see that it starts like going around and then sort of doing a little sort of movement back and forth. Seems to be dancing. Then the other one kind of circles around a couple times. And he says, "Yep. I've got them. And there's nothing here yet, at least not that thing where I would know. But it's not going to be that long before they realize they've got vid cameras down there. They're going to figure out soon enough what this stuff is. Oh, Sleepwell, there's something else too. And actually, I guess he's got his comm so that everybody can hear him. So Alfred also can say, there's something else too. They haven't named this security force. He's calling them the Obsidian Knights. He kind of shakes his head. That's such a dumb name. Why would you use that?
Well,
So that's the name of Baladin's security force, apparently.
Okay, all right. So I say, like, this is actually terrific news. You did an excellent job, Alfred. I think we can use these drones now to scout for us. Yeah, they might notice that they're gone, but in the meantime, we have 2 different passengers that we're like, hey, everybody, come down here. We're under control.
That's a good idea with one problem, though. According to what this looks like, there are 2 elevators. One elevator isn't working at all. There's no power on that side. We'd have to climb down somehow. The other one has an elevator car, but according to the protocols of these drones, they're designed to go dead and to send an alarm if they're taken off of this level. It's a reason to keep them from being taken off the grid. And then Alfred looks at you very seriously, again, the way that he did when he first told you about the space base part, that something's alive down there at Sleepwell, and he says to you, it also means that they were expecting the possibility of someone using an EMP.
Okay. Well, let's wait till the others get here, and we'll come up with a great plan, I'm sure.
Okay.
What's that about coming up with a great plan as Aramis walks up?
I was just telling Alfred here that now that we have control of the drones, we have, some tactical advantages that we could try to exploit, and then he counter-informed me that probably we can't. So then we said that Aramis will be able to fix all of this. Right, Alfred?
Why can't we? Why
Be
isn't
friends?
I was thinking
Why-
the same thing.
Alfred, can you clarify what he means by it not being a good idea?
Well,
And you, Greg, you don't have to explain it all. You can just like redo the whole speech, just like say
basically,
that.
so he explains the whole thing, yeah. Also, I'm just getting people's tokens over to the map. But yes, so he basically explains what it was that he told Sleepwell, and explains the scenario about the 2 different sides of the base, one which is under control of Baladin's security forces, these Obsidian Knights, and one which is under control of no one, and it says that something is alive in that section.
Kaz says, well, if that's the case, I think at first I was excited about the idea of, going down and fighting the unknown thing that is not being controlled. But now that I think about it, I might rather go down and tango with Baladin's forces simply for information at the end of all that. Because that's assuming that if we defeat them or trick them, that they can not only tell us about Baladin, but then they could tell us about the thing down the other elevator shaft. So
It makes some sense. Although, I am a little concerned because if we go down that other way and they find us, I would think that the Long Winter's got more of a connection with those people from Stormdark than they would with whatever's on the other side. But the other side is an unknown. We know at least what Baladin's people are doing, or we think we do.
well, my impression was that the other thing is the Long Winter. That's what I think.
What makes you think that?
It's a powerful unknown entity that they don't control. I don't know.
Maybe.
Why
What
would
it
there?
be?
It's living, though, Kaz. At least it's taken some kind of living form.
Oh,
Although if it's taken living form, maybe that means that he's possessing something.
Yeah,
I don't know, but-
canopy moved
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
That's true.
Is that possible, Alfred? That the Long Winter could inhabit organic matter and have intelligent control?
And Alfred gestures to himself and says, "You remember the version of me on board the Hyperlance? The one that you found on that base that was part synthetic, part organic? Well, that's something which can happen. That's in fact what Stormdark has been trying to do for a long time, to link together organic and synthetic life, no matter what the consequences. Can they do it yet? I wouldn't have thought so, but that's what they've been aiming to do. It's not out of the realm of possibility they figured it out. The drones hover silently, humming, maybe just the slightest of hums coming from them.
So, Alfred, I don't suppose you could just reprogram the protocols that say send an alarm if they're taken off this level. I don't suppose we could just change that.
I could definitely try to do that, but that is definitely going to set off some notification somewhere. They're going to find out. At least, it's going to speed up how fast they find out. I can still do it if you want me to, but they're going to know that their protocols have been altered.
Is there anything that you have access to information-wise or control-wise down the path where you think there's something unknown and living? Are there any drones down there, or are there any cameras? Is there any record of what happened? Was that always occupied when the base was created, taken over, or was that something that happened recently? I mean, can you give us any clarity as to any information about what's down there?
Well, there's all kinds of power spikes, fluctuations. Look, you see here? And he points at the computer terminal, and you can see like what looks like just looks like a regular scrolling graph, but as you look at it every so often, something kind of goes up almost like an EKG or something, like pops up and then drops back down again on this waveform. And he says, those are erratic power signatures. It indicates that there's power somewhere, but it's constantly sparking and short-circuiting. And that suggests two things. One, either they have an inexhaustible source of power, or two, it hasn't been that long and the batteries haven't run out. Either way, it means the power is down, and it's not down consistently. That suggests that whatever is using the power got forcibly removed from it.
That is weird and interesting. Huh. Well, since we can't use these drones to give us a view, I mean, I could just whip something up. Little bot friend of our own, and send him down an elevator shaft.
I like that.
I'm not opposed.
I'm in agreement, but I'm wondering what our exposure is by staying here while that's going on.
Now that we have the bots, I feel like, the chance of an alarm going off is lesser. Though I think they're going to notice eventually that they aren't getting the same reports that they normally get.
Yeah. And if worse comes to worse, and we are up here and we've alerted the Obsidian, whatever, the Knights, and they take the elevator coming up, well, we'll just jump down the other elevator where the thing they don't like is, that they don't have control over.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind actually being the ambusher instead of the ambushee for once,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody have any grenades or charges?
I wish.
Actually, I think Petra has a few.
Oh, I do have grenades. I have 3 grenades.
Yeah.
Where'd you get grenades from?
I've been carrying them for frickin' forever. I
You
believe
should.
I got them sometime in
Oh, you
It's
know what'd
like
be
Chekhov's
cool?
grenade.
2019.
The year 2000.
You should make your hammer into like a grenade launcher. Like you could like throw them.
Not
With the
everything
hammer.
has to be a black hole gun.
I wish it was. Which, by the way, well, this has nothing to do with black hole guns. There's a ship parked in this warehouse. That's not the term.
Right.
Maybe we should take a look at that.
Ooh, like that.
It's a good thought. I can take my bot down and do a little reconnoitering, and you can investigate that ship.
Sure.
I have a suggestion, given that Petra has some grenades.
can't wait to hear it.
3 grenades to be specific.
3 grenades.
I think we should hinder the door function of the elevator where we know the Obsidian Knights are. Such a silly name. And make sure that the doors actually stay open. And if we see it actually coming, we can then make use of those grenades and make sure that they don't actually come up. We might have some difficulty getting up and down, but I would prefer to not have to deal with them directly while we're here in this sort of exposed position.
A
So you're
booby trap,
saying-
in other words.
Yeah.
Or just, when we notice they're coming up, Petra gets a chance to actually say,
Throw a
"Oh,
grenade.
here's a grenade. You have a grenade. You have a grenade." There used to be this wonderful woman from the early the 1990s, 80s, 90s, and she would say she would give away so many things. I would like Petra to give away her grenades graciously.
Graciously, yes. I will, although I don't know this mysterious historical figure.
Yeah, I think I heard, was it opera or something?
Opera.
So
Yeah.
Oprah, but yes.
There was a kind of a book club or something. No, Alfred doesn't say that. Okay, so as I understand it, one of you or two of you are checking out the shuttle, and the rest of you are doing what exactly?
Other things.
Okay.
So, yeah, 3 things, I think. So, Ludiku is going to investigate the other shaft. He's going to be creating a little investigative robot that he's going to be sending down said shaft to have a look-see.
Okay. And going down the this side, what is the western side, or the eastern side? And the eastern side is where the power is shot and the thing that's alive is down there, and the western side
that would
is
be the eastern side,
Okay.
the side of the abyssal horror that we
East side.
Okay. Actually, I keep saying this on the wrong side. I apologize. It is the western side. This side, you're right, but the map's left. That's why I'm getting confused. The western side is with the alive stuff. The eastern side is the security. So you want to send it to the western side then,
That's
which is
what was in my brain.
the
too.
live thing. Sleepwell, you want to send it over
so I'm
this way?
I'm gonna make a little construct. I'm going to be sending it down there.
Okay. Let me have you move, if you would not mind, your character down
Open.
here, and then I'll talk about the drone that you're sending in just a moment. Okay, while you're doing that, Aramis and Petra and Kaz, where are you, the 3 of you, heading?
Kaz is going to quietly move over to the ship over here.
Okay. Petra and Aramis, what about you?
I am checking over these grenades to make sure they're good still and haven't gone stale.
World War II ordnance.
Expiration date.
Yeah.
I'm polishing them up a bit and sort of
I was curious about that.
following Aramis as I polish them.
Okay. Aramis, where are you going?
I'm going to I believe it's the eastern side,
Okay.
specifically to check this other elevator and see what I can do about either hacking it or modifying it in some way for making sure that it stays open, so that we have some level of control or awareness when we need to graciously hand over a grenade.
Okay. So right now, there is a large number 2, the number 2, not something else. There is a large number, which is the number 2, which is currently on a little panel next to that elevator. It is holding steady, so you would have to assume that means the elevator is on the 2nd floor at the moment, and it looks like it could just be summoned up to the hangar. If you wish, you could just press the button and have it come up this way. So it's not on this floor, but it looks like it's functional.
Is Alfred on comms?
Yeah, and Alfred's not far from you anyway. Alfred's still at the computer terminal here. Right.
I would turn to Alfred and say, Alfred, do we have any sense of how many levels there are?
Checking. And he runs through to get a sense of how many, in fact, there might be. As he looks, he can see. It looks like, well, one floor, it seems, is completely inaccessible. I don't think it's been locked down. I just think it's not something, might be under construction. It's hard to read. There's a second floor. There's a fourth floor. And then there's a, well, it doesn't say exactly what it is. It might even be part of the fourth floor. I can't quite read this on this monitor. That's strange. Anyway, the second floor seems to be the lowest, and then the fourth floor is next. But looking here, it looks like the elevators are designed to go sequentially. So they'll come up here, but you can't drop back down to the fourth floor. You have to go to second and then fourth. That's not the way elevators are supposed to work. At least that wasn't when I was alive.
And that other floor that you were talking about, is that what would be, could we infer that that was 3 at one point?
Ah, yes. I would assume so. But it's strange. It doesn't have any listing here in the registry.
Did it ever have a listing? Was there ever access to it?
I wonder if this base was still under construction. It's possible that they never got around to it. Or that it's been erased from memory.
Sleep well?
Yo.
When you send your drone down there on the other side, see if it's around long enough and it's not consumed by whatever is down there, because those power spikes are interesting, and I'm wondering if that's something consuming power. Would it be possible to see if it can investigate around the area, if there's like a comparable level where this empty space is between 2 and 4? I'm wondering if there's been a breach and they just don't want to talk about it.
I mean, we'll see what we see. I'll try to get in there.
Okay. Thanks.
Are you doing
job.
anything with the elevator other than just doing what we've described so far, Aramis? Like, are you calling the elevator up or no?
Well, that's the next conversation.
Oh, okay.
So now that we have a general sense of where things go and how the elevator operates, I have a slightly different question. Originally, I was thinking that we would just have access to the shaft and potentially throw a grenade down it if we needed to halt damage or prevent them from coming up long enough for us to figure it out. But do we actually want to take control of the elevator and prevent it from being available to them?
I very much like this idea.
Yeah.
I'm not fond. I gotta say, Obsidian Knights is just not a phrase that I'm super keen on fighting. So anything we can do to avoid them is good by me.
I'm interested in fighting them, only because everything I fight, I can fight from 40 feet away. But you know, and a knight, what's a knight gonna do from 40 feet away? Don't catch me eating my words later, please. But
yeah. Let's remember you saying that is all I can say.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a great idea.
Sleepo, do you have an opinion?
I think the more control we have over everything, the better. Take control of the elevator if you can.
Okay. Alfred.
Yeah.
You get a choice too.
I think it makes sense. Again, anything we do is going to be something that potentially they might notice. But I agree that we want to make sure we remove as many things from the equation as we can. So we can take control of the elevator. Oh,
Maybe
we could even
we
take control
of it
Sorry,
like
go ahead. No, go
as
ahead.
they start trying to use it. Maybe not now, because then that might be another thing that tells them, although they wouldn't be able to get up here. We think they probably have another way.
Possibly.
Well, it might take time, and I'm sure Alfred could tell us if there's something else that, you know, in the facility. But this is either about us having complete control over access or us doing some damage to them when they're trying to come to us. That's really the query here, is that we either damage them in some way while they're in the elevator, while they're trapped, which may cause more problems for them, or we take complete control and risk, you know, what comes with, you know, not having the ability to sort of affect their...
Thinking about it, I think if we take control of the elevator now, or even take control of it while they're on the ride, then they can just get off on a different floor, or maybe they'll find a way to come attack us from the hangar doors. So actually, thinking about it now, I kind of like the original grenade idea, because they're going to use what they think is going to be the quickest solution, which is the elevator, and then we throw grenades. Whereas if we say, hey, you can't use the elevator now, then they'll find another way, you know?
I'm also very much pro the plan where we use the grenades. I'm tired of carrying them around. Let's use them.
Okay.
In all seriousness, like, we'll surprise them if nothing else, right?
Yeah.
We caught off guard.
Surprise.
Alarms.
Well, Petra's tired of carrying grenades. Can't argue with logic like that.
That may not be the best reason, admittedly. Yes.
Heavy burden.
All right. So I think I have two things I want to do then, Greg.
Okay.
The first is I want to figure out what I can take control of.
Okay.
Basically, can I affect the door, or can I affect the elevator? Can I affect both the door and elevator? Is the first sort of like thing I want to figure out.
Yeah, you can. So it looks to you as if you can call the elevator right now, and the elevator can come up to you. It is, of course, possible that there's just guards standing on the elevator, but that's not usually the way elevators work or the way guards work. So presumably, the elevator would just come up. Once it's up on this floor, you can, hold the door open. You can, the elevator's obviously the door open. It will not go down to a lower floor. It will eventually, again, attract attention that it's not going down to another floor. That's the same deal about notifying others elsewhere. But, you would be able to absolutely call the elevator up to you, hold the door open, and use it to go to whatever floor you like as far as you can tell. There's no lockdown on this elevator on this side.
The question I was asking, I'm sorry if I wasn't clear, is I was wondering what I could do by hacking or short circuiting it in some way. Can I just short circuit the door open? Can I just, that's not available. Yeah. Trying to figure out what I can basically hack.
Yeah. You're obviously, we're going to have to do a couple of checks for it, but yes, you think that you could probably hack the door open and the door to sort of stay on this floor. Yeah. You're pretty confident you could do that.
Okay.
Let me rephrase. You're pretty confident that you have the ability to try it. Whether you succeed or not is another matter, but you certainly think it's not beyond the realm of being able to be done.
All right. Well, I'm gonna enable Black Hat. I'm gonna use that talent.
Okay.
And then I'm going to try to take as much control as possible, with the goal of opening the door and having some level of control, the ability to stop the elevator in motion once it's on its way. So we can stop them mid-floor or whatever.
Okay.
I mean, if we needed to throw a grenade down or whatever, we can do that too.
Okay. All right. Let me have you make, let's see. Black Hat, you said? So
yes.
The interesting thing about this is, so you can Black Hat from the computer terminal for sure. The elevator itself, just standing there, would be more of a mechanical thing.
Okay.
You're going to hack it from this location, but you could also try to hack it in a computer sense and that would be where the Black Hat would come into play. So.
Well,
I think I'm going to do the computer sense.
Okay. So then if you go over to that terminal, and you're able to do that. Yeah. Okay. So it would be. So. Right. Okay. So let's see.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this is actually going to be a thing that Black Hat is even applicable to, given the fact that it's not technically system wards or locks. per se.
That's why I wanted to double check it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, so it's not really data encryption or security that you're dealing with, and it's not really system locks. Yeah, this is probably not. It's not really held off. Like the issue you think is not being able to physically, you think you can hack it, and even Alfred could have if you couldn't. The issue is what notice is going to be set off, and that's something Black Hat isn't necessarily going to assist with. So it really is, another way to think of it is local or sort of micro versus macro. If you hack it here, it's more of a macro impact, right? The computer system as a whole is impacted. If you do it mechanically over at the elevator, it's more local to that specific elevator, thus may be noticed. It may take longer for someone to notice, but also may have not as much of an effect.
My skill in both computers and mechanical is the same, so I'm going to do mechanical then,
Okay.
since I'm not going to get the benefit of Black Hat.
Okay. So then what I would like you to do in that case then is to make a mechanics check for me, please. Which I think is wisdom based, if I'm not mistaken.
It is. How about an 11?
So you get the impression that you're able to set it up. It's not a very complicated thing to do. What this will be able to do is you're pretty confident now that with that, you've set it so that you'll be able to keep the door open here and keep it from closing and sending back down for as long as you would ultimately choose. You don't think you have enough control to be able to just send it to whatever floor based just upon the buttons that you're using up here right near the elevator. So it's just, but you can keep the door open here in the elevator car on this floor, you think.
Okay. Sounds great. I will do that.
Okay. Let me jump over to Kaz, and then I'll jump down to Sleepwell as Petra's grenade polishing continues apace. Not Sleepwell, Kaz. Kaz, when you get up to that ship, what in particular I should ask are you looking for?
Kaz will go to the cockpit of the ship.
Okay.
And see if anyone is inside of it. Hopefully, and if someone is, he wants to be stealthy enough to not alert them of his presence.
I would like you to make me, please, a stealth check.
It would be my pleasure. Okay. Natural 20, 27.
Where is... That has not popped up on my thing yet.
Has it popped up for anyone else?
Actually, no, I didn't. The last thing I see is the mechanics check.
It's the mechanics of an 11, yeah.
Okay, hold on.
Screenshot, or it didn't happen.
Here, yes, I will screenshot it and then reload. Because actually, thinking about it now, I did get a message in red at the top of the screen saying your connection's been interrupted, but that went away like 20 minutes ago.
Your connection's
So I
interrupted
assumed that I'm
suddenly. Critical. Oh, I see it now. It just popped in.
Okay, cool. I'm
Just
glad that
came
it
in
didn't
there.
just erase it.
Yeah,
Okay, that's good.
Okay, so 27. All right. You silently, you like vanish, like smoke on the wind. You just,
I stealth so hard I appear in Infinity and Beyond.
Exactly.
I'm like suddenly in that campaign.
How is this possible? That would freak out a lot. Actually, right now it wouldn't because it's Eberron, so it might not be as.
Oh yeah.
So you are very, very stealthy as you move around, and that gives you the opportunity to see that you don't think there's anybody actually in this. This is obviously a shuttle, Kaz, but you don't think there's anybody in the shuttle. But what you do notice is that the outer windows there are not fully opaque. You can kind of see through, and to the inside you can see that it is a very plush seating and even decorations inside. This is a very nicely appointed shuttle from what you can tell. But when you go around to look at the door, the system the door system is locked shut. And you can see that the system control pad at the front is clearly encrypted. Like, it doesn't react to any kind of like retina scan or hand movement or anything at all. So your guess would be that this is some kind of technology which only answers to the person who owns the shuttle, whoever that might be. But it is very much not going to be opening to you. It looks like a very nice shuttle, though. Luxury conditions.
I can't see any loose objects laying in the shuttle or on the seats or anything.
You do not. It does, however, look like, from what you can tell, there's kind of a slight hum about the shuttle as well, just like there was with the drones. This shuttle to you looks like it's basically fueled and ready to go. Like it could take off whenever, it wanted or needed to. Whoever was controlling it needed to.
Does the dashboard seem to be on? If I can see it.
Yeah, I would say so. But right now it's just sort of flashing a few symbols which you do not recognize. But it does look like it is on and functional, yes.
Can I tell if the glass is bulletproof? Or more specifically,
take a shot at it and see. More
Yeah.
specifically, what?
More specifically, cause-proof.
This
But,
looks
yeah,
like pretty well reinforced glass. Now you could try to, I guess I might have you do an investigation check to determine the nature of it.
Does it seem like this shuttle would be suited to go into space?
Yes.
Okay.
You doubt from the size of it that it's got like mega, hyperdrive technology or, anything like that. But yes,
But
you think it's space worthy. Yeah.
Yeah. Small fish go to big fish kind of deal.
Yeah,
Okay.
It does look like a shuttle.
Kaz is debating if and how he will open this thing. He'll go on the comms and he'll say, "So, this is a really fancy shuttle. No one's in it. Looks really well appointed, I guess. But it seems like it's fueled up and ready to go. Which gives me the indication that there's a timeline out there where we fight Obsidian Knights or something, and then someone comes here and makes an escape on this shuttle."
Can you
So
make it less able to go? How hard would that be?
I could try. I'd make a bit of noise, but the drones are ours, right? For now. What were you gonna say, Aramis?
Do we really want to remove that ability? Maybe lock it out so it's only just for us instead? I mean, we have to get
out. Yeah.
Sorry, we have to get off this place somehow.
That's true. Well, I think the plan was set at some point after I believe Rona is the one. Feels like it's only been a few minutes, but it feels like it's been weeks. I don't know why. Rona eventually will come back and rescue us. We'll make our daring escape after our successful mission. But yeah, you're not wrong. I think this might be an Alfred thing though, because I don't know if I can hack into this thing. This is like a luxury taxi. I don't know. So, hate to ask Alfred to do more stuff, but I could just destroy it.
I'm happy to do what you like. Although, I don't know whether I have the ability to get into that technology. I was clicked into whatever the Stormdark technology is. I suppose that might be similar in the shuttle, but it probably is keyed to someone else.
You can sit tight for a second. I have an idea. And I sort of leave the comms, and I stand there, and I focus inward, trying to contact my winter.
Okay. So, as you focus inward, you hear, "Well, hello, Kaz. I wondered if you'd be trying to contact me soon. somewhere on a base, I think.
Yeah. We're getting closer,
So's he.
you know. You can feel that?
Yes.
Look, so we're trying to, make a plan and get everything going here. We found a shuttle in the hangar of the base, and there's some symbols on it I can't really read. I have a feeling it might belong to, bad guy. So I was wondering maybe if you knew how to get into it.
Show me the panel.
I activate some weird innate ability to show him what I see.
Well, what I meant was just like, are you standing in front of it? Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
I am.
So he embrace eternity. No,
yeah.
he
I do the cheat code to let, mhm.
No, it's ABAB, select star.
Oh,
Okay,
sorry. Yeah, that looked in. There's just stars in there.
So when you look down and he says, I am not familiar with this. This isn't the Long Winter's doing. If I had to guess, this is something of Baladin's himself. Probably keyed to a personal key chip of his own. The problem with something like that is, if you try to get in without him, it's more likely to rip this thing to shreds. Which maybe you want to do, but by ripping it to shreds, it's also going to, notify him and anybody else who's connected to it.
Yeah. As with literally hell touching the floor here, he knows that we're here at this point.
These people are paranoid, Kaz.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, you can't use your special winter powers to take it over?
I could if it was actually winter that's holding it back. But as it is, you have as much knowledge about this code as I would. So, no, I don't really have the ability to do that.
All right.
One thing, Kaz. This seems to be off the grid to me. It means that Baladin made this himself while he was disconnected from the rest of the webs. It suggests that he didn't want any of the Winters to find out about it, or the Alfreds either.
This shuttle or the base?
Well, I don't know about the base yet, but the shuttle for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
I come back to everyone else and say, well, pretty confident I can't get in, and if I could, then he'll know. If he already doesn't know.
You could use one of Petra. Whoa, it's the wrong one.
You could use
is that it?
I think it is.
Okay, sorry about that. You could use one of Petra's grenades, but that would make a loud noise, and probably the outside is blast shielded, but it could, create some problems. I don't suppose those have a delay timer, do they, Petra?
I wish that I could say definitively and not fear that the GM would contradict me, but he knows as much about these grenades as I. These are ones that I picked up. I really in 2019.
Yeah.
So it just has 3 grenades.
Right. They do not have. I mean, and the answer to that is they probably do not have a timer delay. At least not one long enough for this. A remote grenade is something that can actually be triggered later on. Although even then, where you fix it makes a difference. You could probably attach. It would be almost like a limpet mine. You would attach the mine to like an engine, and then you'd be able to remotely detonate it later. But a grenade of the sort that we're talking about, I think, is just more of the garden variety. Throw it and fire in the hole type of thing.
But we are clever tinkerers, and perhaps
that's true. You
Steve-O
could
design
something.
a tiny drone that just pulls the grenades thing when it's time, or something like that.
Fire in the hole.
If it would say that too at the same time.
I love the smell of
Yells-
napalm in the morning.
It yells obscenities in every alien language at once.
Oh, a filthy
Little guy
grenade.
like Strange
All
Love on
right.
the back of the
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, Kaz says, to be fair, of the few things that I am actually well trained in using, grenades is one of them. I'm you might say proficient.
Well,
Yeah,
and there
grenades.
may be blast shielding on the outside, but that's not going to work if it's thrown in the inside, will it? Can we throw it inside?
I think even the act of getting inside
Oh.
is already
it's the
going
getting
to,
it open that's the problem. Although, but again, it's you certainly could try to you could try to rig something such that if the thing gets open and you toss this inside, you know, like then you'd be cooking the gas, you know.
Yeah, sleep well. Maybe we can take one of these grenades and we can put our heads together to try to create a delayed trigger of some sort, and maybe if the cockpit door opens, the grenade goes off. So maybe it won't damage the ship, but it'll damage whoever's trying to get into it. And if it ends up that we're the ones trying to get in, maybe we hope to deactivate it before we get in.
I like this plan.
You do, because I'm seeing a few problems here.
I'm in agreement with
All
Sleepwell.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
First,
If
like,
the two of
know,
you are in agreement, I don't think we should do it then.
I'm not saying that we shouldn't do it. I'm just seeing some problems here. I think I would love for us to figure out a way to be able to rig something up and then have it be magically available to us so that we can disarm it before it becomes a problem. But
We can try. What's the worst that could happen? We blow ourselves up.
that's pretty bad.
That is pretty bad. Well, but one of us is a star being that can kind of apparate wherever. So
is
I'm not worried.
is that really a thing? Can you survive outside of your suit?
No, it's no.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because I didn't understand.
Not down here. Bring me to a nebula. Oh, that is like hot tub. That
All
is it's perfect.
If we
But,
move
yeah.
the base to a nebula.
Yes. Let's just transport this entire planet in the middle of a nebula,
Yeah,
and
that
then
would
all
work
of
perfectly.
my Belari brethren and
Cistern?
sistren. Is that a thing? Is that a word?
No.
The cistern of sisters.
Anyway,
And cisterns.
Sleepwell, what do you say?
I'm gonna look down the shaft and I will get back to you.
Okay.
And before Sleepwell looks down that elevator, I promised and will now deliver upon a stretch break. So you are watching day 65, chat, of Esper Genesis Stormfall, sponsored as always by Alligator Alley Entertainment, with Video Store Cowboy Johnny Pittman, with Cat Rambo, with Carlos Hernandez, and with Zach Clay. If you like what you see in here, please follow the channel, please spread the word, and we will be back to you folks in just about, is 5 minutes cool with everyone? So we'll be back here in 5 minutes. Chat, hang tight. Okay, welcome back, everybody. My apologies again for interrupting the lovely folks there.
We were just talking about guava and all of
Guava.
its different variations.
And the goodness
Variants.
of guava.
Mm-hmm.
Guava is always something I think about when I think about mango, and was like mango, guava. But then
Yeah.
I don't know if they're similar at all, or if that's just complete nonsense.
So the difference is that mango comes from the devil and guava is delicious.
Wow, I see. That is not something I would have expected. Ooh, shadowed. Oh, has done it. Okay. So I have a question, players. I may have in my possession a hot new Esper Genesis cams only overlay done by the amazing Shadowed Mage. Do you want me to take a minute to set it up, or
Yes.
or not? Okay.
Oh yeah!
Sure, why
Because
not?
otherwise we're not going to get to see it for what, a month?
No. Well, hopefully we're gonna play
Knowing
it
us.
twice next month. But yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to put it in play because Shadow's hard work should not be denied. So talk amongst yourselves. You can, talk about guava versus mango and all that kind of good stuff whilst I
Guava.
set this up.
Well, I was going to say that guava, I think of guava as being sort of in the same family of somewhat obscure fruits. Like if apples, oranges, bananas, those are the everyday fruits, at least in America, right? I would say mango and guava are sort of in, and pineapple maybe is sort of like halfway between, I don't know,
Yeah.
but that's just me.
So when
And
I would
then
come
and
home,
then you have like dragon fruit even beyond that, like who eats dragon fruit? Anyway, sorry.
no, I was just gonna say, like, when I would come home for snack when I was a kid, my mom would make guava paste on a saltine cracker with Munster cheese, and we would get the song that she got when she would buy her snack at school, which was "Dulce de guayaba, pague lo que debe." And so like they basically had like an ice cream truck, but instead it was like a guy on a bicycle who had guava paste, saltines, and Munster cheese.
Oh, that's so awesome.
And he would do his little song, and
Oh
that's
my
how,
gosh.
yeah.
That's great.
It's like so. I mean, it's catchy. I've never.
What does that
forgotten.
mean? What does that mean?
Oh, it's guava candied guava. Pay what you owe. So like the idea is like you can buy your candied guava from the Guava Man.
The guava man, guava man.
Whatever a guava can.
Why is it
Guava
so
can.
sultry though? Does whatever a guava
A
can.
guava
Yeah, I
can.
know. That's the bossa nova
Can-
version of that song.
Yes.
Guava Man, Guava Man.
With some cheese or a cracker, you'll have it. Yeah.
Like a weed whacker. There's not a whole lot you can do.
Yeah. What else rhymes with cracker?
Okay.
Yeah.
Get in there. Get
Cracker
in
would
there.
be good.
What did you say?
Cracker, because I'm a big mother snacker.
A big mother snacker. Yep.
Big mother snacker.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay.
Okay.
You like those bars? Don't lie.
I do. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mage fruit. Is that a thing?
Getting there.
Oh, so I think Shadow dropped a funny GIF earlier, which I didn't actually click on the link, but I was just struck by the link itself, because some websites, when they create auto-generated links, they, instead of making it a bunch of zeros and ones and random letters, they actually assign randomized words to it. And I guess Giphy Cat does that because the link is unsightly, excitable you is the link. But what does it lead to? Like, I don't even know what it is.
Oprah Winfrey free like
That's Oprah with
Oh, AKA the unsightly, excitable you.
right.
Yes. Anyway,
Okay.
Rock guy.
maybe we should.
Oh, go ahead.
Yes.
No. I don't
Pear-
ever want that.
Ooh,
Thank
pear
you. No.
syrup sounds interesting. I would try
Oh.
pear. Pears are some of my favorite
I
fruits.
love Paris.
Pear syrup,
Yeah,
I
I
could
love
see.
pears.
Diced
And
cactus.
underrated.
I don't know. I feel like cactus is one of those things I ought to like. I just can't get behind it. It's too chewy.
I've never had.
How
I
have
would
you lived
totally
in
try that.
California all of your life and never had cactus?
Yeah.
Every taqueria
No.
sells it.
Yeah, man.
I usually
don't food shame.
yeah.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to shame. I'm a little surprised because like the things that they offer at Taqueria sometimes scare me.
Uh-huh.
Oh
So,
yeah.
I've never ventured. What?
You ever had tongue taco?
Ooh, I have.
I would try that too.
Tongue?
I've had tongue. It wasn't my favorite, no.
It's very chewy.
You just had a tongue.
And it never shuts up. I mean,
That was it. It wasn't in a burrito. It wasn't in. You just like,
It was
I would
somebody
like
else.
to
It
buy
was
a
somebody
tongue.
else's dish, and I was just trying a bite of it. Yeah, no.
It was
No.
in their mouth
I
at the
mean-
time, and it's just like, give me the tongue. And it was just gone. It was really bad.
All right, I'm gonna stop talking now.
It's like an intellect devour, but with tongues. Like if you
Oh,
eat
that's
it, it
deeply
tries to
frightening.
replaces
But-
your tongue.
I did decide at one point I was going to make beef tongue, and I'm going to tell you, going into the butcher and saying I want a beef tongue, they will give you a kind of, at least here they were clearly I was not the customer that they expected to be asking
Yeah.
for it, and I don't think I cooked it right.
You would think that a butcher would be the last person to give you a weird look about that.
yeah.
This is very upscale, yuppie butcher.
Yeah, where we only eat the flank.
Yeah, it's let's introduce you to the chicken, and you can ask her questions before we kill her for you, or that sort of.
Oh.
Wow.
What were you doing on the night of,
Are you sorry for what you've done?
So, in
Last-
Boston Chinatown, one time I ate a bowl of 50 duck tongues.
Ooh,
50
how big
duck
is a duck
tongues.
tongue?
A duck tongue, I learned about a third of the way through the bowl, is very small in terms of like the meat department. So like if you think about
Okay.
a sort of like tongue depressor,
All right,
like break it in half,
all
that's
right,
about the size of a duck tongue. But
okay.
also, like a tongue depressor, what I learned, again, about a third of the way through, is that a duck tongue has a bone in it. It has a
Ooh.
firm, flat bone in it. And so, what you're supposed to do, if you know what you're doing with a duck tongue, is that you're supposed to skin it between your teeth and sort of like put the bone aside.
Oh.
But being rather ignorant in the ways of duck tongue, I
You were
probably
eating
still
it.
have duck tongue
Fragments
bone
of
in
duck
my
bone.
system somewhere.
Oh no.
All the duck tongue bone I ate
That's-
that day.
Also, my favorite cover band, by the way,
Yeah.
Fragments of Duck Bone.
Duck tongue.
We are the
Wait,
fragments of duck bone.
Sounds like a good Chicago blues band.
Yeah,
Duck tongue.
yeah.
Or it sounds like a weapon.
They're the
Cosmo
headliners
Riders
for
would-
Secret Toffee.
Duck tongue bone.
The duck bone
Yeah,
shards.
duck tongue bone, won't you come?
I think, won't you pone? Won't you pone? Keep the city and night.
Yep. Well,
Tongue! Duck bone tongue! Oh man.
who let all of us be in the same room, huh?
I mean, really. All right, let's see.
That's funny.
Okay, I think I have it. I think he said. He said.
Not sure of
with a
himself.
laugh. All right, so here we go. The cams only overlay. The chat fixed, right?
Mhm.
All right, cams only overlay.
Thank you,
presented
Shadowed
by
Mage.
Shadowed Mage
Yeah.
is wait for it. Here
Wait
we
for it.
go. Zap.
Let me look. Ooh.
Hey.
Ooh.
Hey.
Very nice.
Very
Look
nice.
at this. Yeah.
Oh, that is
Yeah.
nice.
I think it's a bigger camera for each of us too, right? Like
It
a
is,
wider
but that's one of
perspective.
the big strengths of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I can see
Oh,
it.
That's
like
awesome.
that.
Ooh.
All right.
I love it.
Yeah, and see
Thank
that
you,
way,
Shad.
and we
That is
go
awesome.
back to if we do, see, so we've got map and then non-map like this. And one of the benefits of it, really,
Yeah.
it just struck me that so many channels do this because again, the focus is because there's so many times where you don't always need to have like where am I for this thing, like for combat or whatever. Yeah, but for theater of the mind stuff, this is
Yeah.
pretty sweet. So what do you mean that's too dark? Get the hell out of here, Dragon Spear. That thing is not too dark. I'll tell you what's too dark, and that's the prospects of Manchester United. No, I'm sorry. I really apologize. There's no need for me to go down that path. Shadow Mates, thank you, dude. That was amazing, and I will I'll speak to you later
Yes.
about paying you for this. I do want to say, by the way, chat, that in case you're ever curious, this is what the support of the channel makes possible to do, which is the commissioning of overlays like this. And I've been talking to Shadow Mage about doing one for this, for Adventures of Middle Earth, and then obviously for the Eberron one that we had. I'm out after this blasphemy. Yeah, I know. It looks really good. Thank you, Shadow. That's awesome. I wish I had thought about asking him to do it earlier, but anyway, and I just need to,
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be little tweaks, like I need to fix that adventure title text here and put that up there.
Yeah.
Esper Genesis Stormfall, like that.
Esper Genesis.
But that works out really well. Thank you,
Whoa.
Shadow. Looks awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Hey, it sure does look pretty good on stream. You're damn right. Thanks, dude. That's
I'm
amazing.
really excited.
All right, sweet. I am going to
great.
keep that, and I will speak to you. In fact, I'm going to make him more. Pay Shadow Mage. Although I probably will just end up paying you for all of them when they're all done. Shadow to just be like, just drop you one big payment for all of them. But thanks, dude. That looks great. Cool. All right. Well, with our newly found, right, we'll do this just in time to be like, show me what's on the map. I'll be like, all right, let's go back to the map.
Always the case.
Okay. So, but yeah, thanks, Shadow. Looks awesome. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what Sleepo was about to do, which was to open, and I will, jokes aside, go back to this for a minute, to open this elevator over here, right? Is the plan to be able to open up this western elevator. Now, one problem that immediately presents itself to you, Sleepwell, which is that the door does not open, at least not initially. The power seems to be off to this door, and so at the moment, the door is not accessible. The other one that Aramis has been at, the eastern side, is fine, but this one on the western side is going to have to be pried open. It looks, from what you can tell, from what Alfred says, the elevator car for this one is also on the second floor, just like the eastern elevator is. But this one, the panel is dark. There's no number on it, and the doors are shut.
Okay. I'll just see if I can open it. Just with my manly cat.
I will need you to make, please, an athletics check for me. Strength or athletics if you have it.
They use the same thing though, right? Aren't they the same?
Well, no, because athletics sometimes athletics, if you could be a higher skill.
Oh, you can be, yeah,
yeah.
right. No, but it's all. This is just like a straight
Straight
D20
strength.
roll.
Okay,
Here we go.
let's see it.
Oh wait, yeah. Let me adjust this because usually I'm making wisdom checks and I get so many pluses, like even God smiles. But here we go. 16. Yeah.
So you just heard, and the strength of the mighty Volna strength, fills your muscles and just ripples, and the rippling cat muscles, very dramatic. It's that moment in
Snap into a Slim Jim.
It's the moment in Winter Soldier where Steve Rogers, the elevator is being pulled open. So you do manage to open it, and it reveals a very thick cable that is running down in the darkness down to the elevator clearly below you. And you can see that it was probably about, you would guess, maybe a 30 or 40 foot descent, Sleepwell, to get down to that next area. The problem, of course, is that it's only the top of the car that you can see. Like, the car's below you on the second floor, obviously. So it's only the top of the car. So you'd have to get down there and then figure out a way to get through the doors of that area. So you got to get into the car, basically, is what I'm saying.
Right. And there's usually a sort of like
a
top
access
to
hatch,
the-
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm peeking down there. No space around the sides of the elevators or anything, right?
No, pretty flush with the sides.
And lightless, I'm assuming.
Yes, completely
Okay.
dark.
Yeah. So I have
One might say storm dark.
dark vision though, so I can see down in there. I
Yes, although the light behind you interferes with it a little bit, but yes, basically you can. And it looks to be silent and seems to be empty, other than just you can see that the cable descends to what does indeed look like the top of an elevator car, maybe about 30 feet or so below you.
Right. Okay. So what I'm gonna do to descend the silent but empty shaft, wink wink, is I'm going to grab not even leap at or anything, but just kind of grab the cable there.
Okay. You can
And
do
I'm
that.
gonna give it a little test, a little shake, see how stable it feels.
It seems quite stable from what you can tell.
Yeah. All right. I am going to go down. I'm going to just use that cable to go down.
Hand over hand type of thing.
Yeah. Just
Okay.
like wrap my legs around.
So I am going to ask you to make for me, please, either an athletics or an acrobatics check. The cable makes it easier, but yeah, either athletics or acrobatics.
Definitely could do acrobatics here. 15.
Yes. So you were able to make your way down, hand over hand, descending into the darkness until you were now on top of the elevator car. And indeed, there is an access hatch. You haven't tried it yet, but there is one that has a sort of a recessed handle, in it that you could pull up.
Okay, so I'm just going to take a moment and listen with the intent of understanding all that is around me.
Okay, make a perception check for me, please. And Rock God, having paid you for your photography for my band, that is completely ridiculous. You're right.
It's a 23.
So on that side, I would say you don't hear anything on that side except for the following. Every so often you hear a very faint, like gzz, 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 like a sounds like a sparking or something. It's clearly not in the elevator below you. It's just like somewhere, on the floor, echoing through the hallways. You hear this sparking. And every so often you feel really more than hear, kind of like a slight rumbling as of movement.
All right. I'm going to open the elevator hatch.
Okay. It is unlocked, so you're able to open it up. Down below you is, now because you have dark vision, it means that you can see, there's no light here, so you can see dimly here. And so you can see about 15 feet down, the elevator car seems to be open, or seems to be, empty, I should say. And the front doors of the elevator are currently closed as well.
Right.
The elevator car, basically.
Right. Do I have a sense of, am I, near the next floor?
Yes.
Okay.
You're pretty sure that this is the next floor.
Okay. So,
well, let me rephrase. The next floor that the car stopped at, which may be down at the second floor, based on what Alfred originally told you.
Right. I'm going to drop into the elevator car.
Are you doing so stealthily or just kind of like, Captain America style?
Oh, I mean, definitely with all the cat-like grace that I possess.
Okay, make a stealth check for me, please. With that cat-like grace.
I am specialized in stealth, so this is great. So I get to add my proficiency bonus, right?
Yes, if you're specialized in it. I should go back to cams only for this. Oh, I
14.
need the dice roller. Okay. So there's the dice roller. So we can see we can have dice at the same time that we have all cams. Okay. So yes, you drop with the very little noise, just slight as you hit the floor of the elevator. And you're now in the elevator car. The hatch is open above you. You can above you faintly see a little bit of the light, coming from the door that's open. And actually, I should mention, well, no, because you had to wedge the doors open, so you're good for now. You had to pry them open, so you're good for now. Yeah, you can see a little bit of light filtering from above, and in front of you, the closed elevator car doors.
At this point, I am going to build a quick construct.
Okay.
This is the typical quick construct that we've been making, not the basic construct, or I'm sorry, the other ones that look like the different characters, but that we lost along the way here.
Right.
I think.
Right.
This is just like the little sort of floating droid thing.
Okay.
So I'm gonna whip one of those suckers up.
Okay.
And once it is active, what I'm gonna do is, there's a panel where the numbers are that isn't lit, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
I'm gonna pull myself behind the panels and try to just like open the doors with my monstrous cat strength again. But I'm gonna have the basic construct sort of like in the middle, sort of like just floating in the middle of the elevator.
Okay. Go ahead and make your strength check / athletics again for me, please.
I'm rolling pretty well right now. It's a 16.
16. Wow. So again, and here we are going to jump back to the map because we have to change maps. I'm going to take your token with me.
Sleepwell's just soloing the whole dungeon.
Yep. He's gonna one man. He's just gonna one man
Leroy,
this instance.
Leroy Jenkins.
He's gonna one man this instance.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, one crit is all I need.
Okay, so there you are. You are able to open it up, and let's see as this opens up. I need to double check my map so I don't go show you too much. Okay. Let's see. I have to check something quickly to make sure that this is. No, it's not that. There it is. Okay, good. That keys in what I was thinking it was, which means, okay, so. A little more. Okay, so this opens up onto a large room, Sleepwell, that is kind of a. I guess the way I would describe it is, there's an area here around the outside of the room. Hang on as I bring up my notes. Yes, there is an area here on this side of the room. There is pretty much no light in here, although now that the doors are open, you can hear that occasional sparking sound that I talked about. But you do notice that there is some, what seems like something is kind of sparkling a little bit. Even in the dim light, you can see it on the ground. And there is a very faint odor here, a scent that seems vaguely like spoiled food.
Yeah. So like my D&D vibes are giving me like gray ooze, terribleness, green slime stuff right now. But that's not anything Ludiku experiences. Here's what Ludiku's gonna do. He's gonna jump back up the hatch so that he is basically on top of the elevator again, put his head through so he can keep an eye on his droid, and then he's gonna send the droid into this corridor.
Okay. While we send the droid, and I'm going to bring the droid in so that you can control them, I do want to ask what everyone else is going to do up, meanwhile, back at the hangar sort of thing. What do we have? For example, Petra, I know you were following Aramis. Now, what is your sort of like plan as Sleepwell has now vanished from the scene, so to speak?
It's hard not to just sort of hover anxiously around Sleepwell, but I'll markedly look at that. Come back to me. I'm still thinking, if you would.
Okay, sure, that's fine. Aramis and or Kaz. I mean, Kaz, I know you've checked out the shuttle now. What are your thoughts about what you would like to do?
I think last that we left with Kaz, we were thinking about programming a grenade to go off on the shuttle. But then I look back and see Sleepwell has jumped down a mine shaft. Not a mine shaft, an elevator shaft.
An elevator shaft.
Maybe there's a mine down there. I don't know. So I will leave the vessel for now, and I'll go up to the elevators, and I'll say to the others, well, Sleepwell seems to be having a fun time down there. I could use some fun. I was thinking about going down the other elevator, but
I
we
don't
are.
think that's a really good idea.
Yeah, maybe
What
we want to wait till we see whether Sleepwell needs rescuing before we
Is
go.
he still scouting? I mean, I thought he was going to stay up here and scout. I don't even
Never
see him
know.
anymore. I look down.
Well, is he here? Because I don't see him.
If you look, if you actually look into the down?
Yeah,
So
we'll,
if you
we'll
look,
all go peer anxiously down.
yeah, if you look down, you can see, and I need to think a little bit about. I'm
Elevator
assuming
shaft
that
structure.
Petra and Kaz, neither of you have dark vision, right?
I do. In fact, I have the next level of dark vision. I have infrared vision on top of that.
So you see what is quite clearly the, how do I put this delicately? The other side of Sleepwell, let us say. He appears to have his head looking down into an elevator car, which is at the bottom of this shaft.
And Ash and Forge have dark vision, so we're all peering down.
Okay, so you can all
The
see what I've
backside of
described, although
Sleepwell.
Kaz gets the the infrared two sides.
Yeah,
Wow.
I get the heat signature of it.
I mean, and there's a lot of heat right there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let me just bring up the cams window for that heat, just to be clear. So anyway.
Well, Kaz debates yelling, realizes might not be a good idea, so goes on comms and says, Sleepwell, are you still scouting?
Yeah, I have to keep visual contact with my drone. It's not like I, can see through its non-existent eyes or anything. So, yeah,
Oh.
I just, I came down here so I could watch it. I'm just about to send it into what looks like, I'm not exactly sure, but maybe like a 20 meter by 30 meter sort of big room that's kind of sparkling with slime. That reminds me of a monster from the 80s in this game I used to play. Oh, wait, sorry, I'm not Aramis. It reminds me of nothing.
You said there's slime down there?
It seems to be something sparkly, like some huge kind of space slug thing. Don't know.
Oh no.
Ugh.
Kaz immediately kind of raises his head and flashes back to, I believe it was called the Vorkata or something like that, the giant slug that interrupted us in the middle of a space jump, that are the sworn enemies of Bellare.
That's right, enemies of the Bellare.
And then I zoom back and I'm like, I want to kill it. Let me down there.
And I'm just like, Kaz, you're in like a whole mood today.
Sorry.
You're just like, easy, brother.
Am I
Alfred
not?
Says, is everything okay with Kaz?
I'm a little on edge, okay? We're in the belly of the beast. Well, we're in the belly of one of the beasts.
It sounded like you wanted to go to the beast and fight
I
it in the
do.
belly.
I do, but I'm going to let Sleepwell do his thing.
So the idea here, I say into the comms, is to see if a tasty droid dancing around in a room will attract attention and possibly cause said monster to emerge, and therefore give us a better sense of what it is that we might be facing down here. I'm going to begin this right now. However, there might be a moment where extraction will become exceedingly urgent and fast. So if you all up top can find a way to yoink me out of this precarious situation that I am in right now, just in case things go south, I'd be grateful. Sincerely, Ludicrous Sleepwell.
Hey, Kaz, don't you have a grappling hook?
Yeah.
I am holding it and ready to fire, and I would like to, if this is not a function of the gun, then I will make it a function of the gun. I just want to release the rope slack from it. It has 50 feet of rope. So I want to like slowly Mission Impossible style, just like hold the gun out over the edge, but just have it slowly release the rope as I'm manually forcing it to do that.
Okay.
And then
To fire up some better
assuming
music for this.
Ah,
Assuming I can do that, it will then then say to Sleepwell, "All right, Sleepwell, you should be feeling a weird metallic something against your leg now." As I,
That's not my leg.
oh, whatever.
I
You
basically
do, in fact, feel it.
Yeah, I basically reach a hand up and just try to basically hook it around my leg as securely and as in a way that is least likely to cause a hook end to basically puncture my flesh.
Okay, you can do that.
And I hold the gun and say, "All right, just tell us what happens and tell me if you need me to reel you up like a fish."
So let's see what happens. I order the little droid that could into the center of that passage.
All right, let's jump back to the map. And let's see. Whoops. Okay, center of the map. So here's what you see. I believe it's on. Let's double check if it's this side. No, it's this side. Okay. Over on this side is, on the eastern side, is a thick metal door. It basically looks almost like a blast shield, would be the way that you would describe it, Sleepwell. And the drone kind of, goes over and essentially like hovers in front of it, but it's probably not possible for any of you to breach it without a lot of like concentrated firepower, and it's way beyond your ability of your quick construct to do so. This is heading east and presumably heading towards the eastern side of the base, so this clearly has been locked out, which means that the only real way to go on this side is apparently to the west.
So yeah, I'll have it hover westward a little bit, see what might be revealed.
Okay. So as it
Are-
hovers,
Sleeple, are you narrating this at all on comms, or are you just?
I'm
just
narrating
taking it in?
everything I see. That's right.
Okay, so as you're starting to move your drone to the west, so the base. This sounds like this side is connected to the other side. That might be something to our advantage. We might be able to open up a door and take out some of those obsidian knights while we sneak past them.
Yeah. Another thought, not contradictory, but coinciding, perhaps. It could be that they shut this thing off with a blast door, and if we open the blast door, the beast could just crawl through and start having nights for sushi, so to speak.
I mean, yeah, we're saying the same thing, I think. So
Yeah.
that's if you want to get us a shot of that panel, I can start to take a look from this end to see if there's something I can do, mechanically speaking.
Is there anything that looks like a control panel to the door?
there are a couple of occasionally you see there's one like sparking something. There's one flashing light every so often that's coming from over here. You can't quite make it out. You'd have to have, get closer to see it. But that's the only thing you see by way of a control panel. This doesn't look like they're controlled from here. The panels, there's no control panel next to the doors. There must be a sort of more global lockdown that was set up.
So,
All right. Sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, so first of all, I'm going to have the droids sort of like swing over to the other side.
Okay, like up to here.
Just the droid hasn't moved. Can I move it?
Oh yeah. I think you should have. I'm sorry. I thought I gave you control. Yeah, I did give you control over it. You can move
Okay,
it.
yeah, I can. So basically, like, I'm sort of like using this as my line of sight guide. I think I can put it like up to about like right here.
Okay. Yeah. So when you get here, the first thing you note about the light that I just mentioned is that there is a broken monitor over here, and there's one of several. You actually start to notice there are a few of them. Bunch of broken glass on the ground, and the light just every so often flashes is from some spark coming within it, from within it. And you can see that part of that may be that there seems to be a lot of liquid on the floor in both of these areas, the hallway as well. In fact, some of the liquid seems to be like some of it's pooled in several places, a lot of it around where there's a lot of other shattered glass. And then there's also liquid that through here, I'm trying to think whether you'd be able to, you can't see through the eyes of this drone, right? So,
No, I cannot.
Okay, yeah, so you probably wouldn't see it. But in any case, just even from your vantage point kind of looking out at it, you can see that there is definitely a lot of liquid around this area. And again, there's that faint odor that I referred to before, but you're not sure what that's coming from. But there's a lot of these sort of broken, sparking monitors in a number of places. As far as the direction of things, you can see that there is a passageway that extends up to the north. And there is, there's a passageway up to the north, and then there is a room which seems to be open over here, although you can't really see much, from your vantage point. You'd have to get closer to it. But it does not seem to have a door in front of it.
Okay. So I'm narrating all this, just to save a little time here.
Yep.
to the party. And I say, like, I'm going to try a couple of experiments. So the first thing I want to do is I want to find one of these pools of liquid, and I'm going to have the droid basically settle into it so that its lower part is landing in the liquid, watching carefully for acidic bubbling, for instance, or, if not that, I'm going to have it come back to me and take a closer look at it.
Okay. You don't get the sense of acidic bubbling. It is quite viscous, would be the way to describe it. Almost a little, it's liquid, but it's almost a little rubbery in its substance. So you can kind of do bloop, type of thing as you drop the body of it in. Doesn't seem to be hissing or anything, or any burning on the thing.
Right, and it doesn't seem like nanites are crawling all over it.
Not from what you can tell. No.
Are you describing this to us, Sleepwell?
Yeah,
Yes.
he said he was narrating the whole thing.
Does this seem reminiscent to the weird bubbling liquid that Aramis and I witnessed in the desert hole area?
Right, from like 2 episodes ago.
Right. No, it does not seem to be that same stuff. No.
Okay.
For one thing, this is clear.
Okay.
Okay, so experiment number 2. I think I'm gonna have this thing fire its laser. I actually want to see if it attracts attention and if it draws anything out.
Okay.
So,
Where are you firing the laser at?
right. So basically, I'm gonna have the droid sort of like stand or float, hover, right about here.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna have it fire its laser into this wall, like here, just like fire off some shots so that, like into a wall. Hopefully not into any monitors or anything. More just like sort of like spray a neutral wall, but make noise and, light this place up.
Right. Okay. So. Let's see. I'm trying to think of how loud. I mean, you're trying to actually, presumably, wake something up. So, okay. Right. Okay. All right. So when you pew pewing everything down the hallway, when you do that, there's a sort of pause, and then you hear this And it sounds like a cross between a snuffle and a rumble. That same rumble that you felt, Sleepwell, when you were on top of the elevator car. And then
Snuff rumble.
something. Say again.
A snuff rumble. A snuff
Yeah.
rumble.
Snuff or rumble, Gus. I think it's a
Snuff
Sesame
rumble.
Street character.
A ruffle snuff. Rumbles. Yeah.
Okay. Doing a search for something. Okay, so I can make sure that I have the right. What I'm trying to find is a picture of something. I mean, no reason to believe that. Okay. Ah, yes. Okay. Right. Show me what I want to know. Okay, so I'm going to show you, if I can ever actually get it to... Okay. So I am... That's what I was looking for. Okay, I'm going to show you something, but then there's a little bit of a difference in the picture that I'm about to describe, because this thing, as you'll see, is kind of an amalgam. Here is what you see. Can I get that picture, please? Let's see. Yeah.
And you're putting this on the
I'm going to put
Twitch,
this on the
or-
stream. Yeah, I'm going to
on
put
the-
this on stream.
Okay.
So... Okay. So what you see
Oh God.
rumbling out of the room is what looks to you, at least initially, like this enormous lizard-like creature. But the thing that's different, and the reason that I'm glad I found this because of the image of it, is that the creature has along its scales, looks a little bit like a massive kind of Komodo dragon. But what makes this different is the fact that on each of its spikes and on each of its scales, there is some kind of glistening metal. And on the front of its face, infused into its face, is a mixture of scales, as of a lizard, and some kind of metal robotic thing. It looks like you're looking at essentially a cyborg lizard. And it... And as it's coming towards the pew-pew, Sleepwell, you hear a buzzing, humming sound beginning to fill the hallway, getting louder and louder, coming from the thing.
Coming from the thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like that.
Interesting. I'm gonna.
Also, you can now one last thing. From your vantage point now in the elevator, looking down there, Sleepwell, you can also see that the hallway down which it is coming is brightening. And in fact, its face is brightening.
Wow. I'm just gonna have my little darling droid here duck around the corner and basically sort of like position itself like right about here.
Okay.
And then just kind of like wait and see.
Okay. So now this thing comes into view. Let's see. Can I get a threats database? What? All right, let's get some digital threat tokens here. As I open up yet another freaking PDF window.
Brought to you by Alligator Alley
Brought to you
Entertainment.
by Alligator Alley Entertainment.
Hashtag actually a sponsor.
Yeah, exactly. Hashtag no need to claim branding. Oh yeah. Perfect. Okay. I love it. All right.
Suddenly the Kool-Aid Man bursts out of the wall.
That's a level 20 threat right there.
Yeah. That's a level 20 Esper talent. Summon Kool-Aid Man. Burst out of the nearest wall, no matter what it is.
And I need to see if I can get this. Okay. Give me 1 second. I'm going to do this another way. So, yeah, like that. Okay, good. And then we do that as that. Okay, and now we bring this in here. This is the quick and dirty token capture. That gets to scale. Just kidding. Okay. So this thing comes rumbling around the corner. And comes in this way, as I've mentioned before. And when it comes in, you can now see that there is sparkling and sparking what looks like arcing electricity arcing around its head from the metal plate. So around, sort of flowing up and down its neck, up into its head, around the metal faceplate and back. And when it sees the drone there, sorry chat, I will refresh so you can see what they get to see. There we go. When it sees the drone there, it lowers its head, and suddenly this massive bolt of electricity arcs out at the drone. So, are your constructs able to do separate saving throws? Have we talked about that, Sleepwell? Yeah?
Oh, I'm sorry, I was muted. Yes, they can.
Okay, so I need it to make a dexterity saving throw, please.
I think its dexterity is 10, if I remember from our many, many times that these poor bastards have been destroyed. Let me see here. I have this written down on a sheet of paper that I will find, and here it is. Dexterity is 14, so it's a +2 on that roll.
Okay.
Got a 9.
Okay. So it is unfortunately going to take all of that. It is zapped by this lightning blast, or electricity blast, I should say. And it is going to take, as a consequence, 22 points of lightning damage.
So it almost dies twice.
Just, blows up. And then, so that stops. Now you're still sort of looking, and the creature, and the weirdness of this as you look at it, Sleepwell, is that its eyes don't seem to be eyes. They seem to be sparks of electricity that float around, almost loop around the inside of its metallic eyelids. And so it looks with its strange... And then it... as if it's sniffing for you.
Yeah.
And it begins to make its way over this way.
Pull me up, pull me up, pull me up.
I
pull me up, pull me up.
got a big one today. Reel up.
I'm gonna just
catfish.
on my way up, I'm gonna flip that latch shut again.
Okay. It is actually fortunate that you do that, because as you close it and you are being pulled up the shaft, suddenly the hatch goes, and you see lightning basically sort of sparking around the inside, and you can see, Sleepwell, that the hatch is beginning to literally melt as you're being pulled up.
Okay. So
I have this image of you being like, no, really? Like, hurry it the hell up. Now, you all can see this, by the way. I want to ask Aramis, Petra, you can see this too while Kaz is pulling this stuff up now. You can see this, and you smell a kind of sulfurous, there's almost a lingering smell of sulfur and burn in the air, like this burned scent that's kind of coming up to you, drifting up through the shaft. And then as you get up, you hear kind of coming up there at the same time. That was the wrong thing for that. It was more like it's echoing up the shaft, and the hatch looks like it's in very imminent danger of collapse.
Aramis, upon hearing that, is going to turn immediately towards Alfred and say, can you tell if they're aware or alerted that thing, whatever it is down there, is causing trouble? Is there any weird chatter?
No, I can't see anything like that, although it does seem... That's the wrong patch. There we go. It does seem as if there's... No, I'm sure that they can hear it echoing. But I wouldn't be surprised if they hadn't been hearing it echoing before. What is that, Sleepwell?
That is a cyber dragon? Lightning breathing cyber dragon. You know, and they've been hearing the narration, I think, that I've been giving. That's basically what you've been saying. So, you know, I'm saying, like, that is not a thing we want to mess with.
Who is up next to, just before you go, Aramis, who's next to Alfred upstairs, like on the computer? Are you next to them, Aramis and Petra, I suppose?
Yeah.
Kaz, I know you're looking down, or like whatever. So, Aramis and Petra, you both look over to see Alfred as he goes. It's not... I told you. They did that. That's them. They experiment. And they make foul things that shouldn't be. They twisted it. They made that. Do you understand me?
Yes.
And like Alfred looks like, you know, from in terms of like just physical, like the hands, you know, like the metal hands sort of clenched, and you can hear the sort of emotion in his voice.
As Aramis is trying to placate Alfred a little bit in this particular situation, I would like to roll a survival or a lore based on the conversation that I had with the Madakai.
Ah, yes. Yes. Let me...
How do you want to do that, or do you just want to give it to me? Because I think it matches the description that they would have given to me.
It doesn't quite. But I will give you... But yeah, it does... Well, ish. I'm going to have you make 2 checks, and depending on the interaction of the 2 checks, you'll see. I want you to make first for me a history check, or lore history is fine.
How about 26?
26, good. Now, make a xenobiology check for me.
Well, 8.
Averaging it together. Okay, here's what you know. You don't know what this thing is, but you know almost certainly by the way it's been described that it probably was at one point a Batera, but it has been horribly twisted. Batera do not exist like this. Something has been done to it to make it like this. And quite clearly, what that was not a robot. There is an organic intelligence motivating a partially cybernetic body.
To which I'm going to immediately tell the entire group and end with, and as I understand it, these things already were intelligent. Given what they've done to it, I have a great deal of concern about what we're up against.
Also very quickly, Aramis, and then I'll shut up. I want you to continue with them. But the one other thing I want to note, based upon your discussion with the Matakai, you know that this would be anathema. Like if one of your Matakai buds, were with you on this, they would probably have already like leapt down the shaft themselves to try to rip the mask off of it and protect it or whatever. Like, right? It's like taking your holiest thing and making a god into a servant.
Right. We're really in trouble here. This is when I accepted my responsibility, they told me about these things, and that alone scared me enough to realize that fighting it head on is not going to be the right thing. Whatever Alfred can figure out for us about it aside, I don't know if we really can take this thing on head on.
Well, you mentioned turning it against them. And I don't really know what this thing is, but it used to be its own being. Now it's not. I imagine it might enjoy getting a bit of revenge.
I would agree with you, and it's probably more intelligent than any of us, if my understanding is correct.
If it even knows what it is anymore.
Yeah.
If it isn't a twisted... And Alfred continues to just very quickly, Aramis and Petra, Alfred is almost shaking in a very human expression almost of rage and,
Alfred,
passion.
We need you to keep a level head here. We need your help, and I'm as angry as you are under the circumstances, but we need to keep a level head here, because if that thing gets out of where it is, we need to be on the other side of it, as far away from it as possible. Or I suspect that we're going to be fighting with these Obsidian Knights to deal with it. Like on their side, they're going to be on our side. If that thing gets out, I think we're all going to be in a lot of trouble.
Now you know why they locked the other side down.
I feel like they're pretty lucky that it happened that way.
So that creature is in pain. And I think I'm reluctant to leave something in pain behind us.
That might mean trying to kill it, and that might mean the death of us.
Can we attempt to communicate with it in some way?
Do I remember anything from the conversation with the Matakai that might indicate their? I know that I know lore-wise, outside of game, there is a sort of a relationship between the two, right?
Although
but
it's
in
denied
game,
by the Batera, but yes, the Matakai believe themselves to be, yeah.
Right, exactly, and the Batera are very, very clear about the fact that they are not in any way, shape, or form, and they're very, for their own approach, vocal about that particular fact.
Right.
But did the Matakai sort of indicate in game to me? And I also did a little bit of research, but I don't think I did enough to be able to really kind of like get my head wrapped around everything about the Batera.
Well, if you want to know if you can communicate with it, a regular Batera, sure, if the Batera wanted to. What you don't know is this thing is an entirely new form of created life. And if you remember what it was like trying to deal with the morphed Alfred, the half Genasi, half whatever Alfred, those sort of combinations, as is demonstrated here, can be unpredictable. So could a regular Batera communicate? Sure. You don't know what this thing is. I mean,
I'm just asking if it's possible to for us to be able to communicate it on some level.
With a Batera, generally, yes. You don't know if it will be able to communicate, because the Matakai would have no knowledge of anything ever like this having been created.
Okay.
Yeah.
How's Alfred doing?
He's sort of, so he's, his face, like, he continues to kind of stares down his fist. He says, I'm not going to lose my head. But
Petra?
what they've done to...
I'm sorry, go ahead.
What they've done... If they did this to Bliss... If they did this to anyone... And it just falls silent.
Petra?
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, your special affinity with technology that often allows you to communicate where other people couldn't communicate. Do you think you can maybe try to communicate with the Batera?
I can try. I don't know whether I have an affinity with things beyond the Hyperlands, but I'm willing to give it a shot.
I'm just wondering, if the Hyperlands didn't reach out to you because of a pre-made bomb, but just because it could, and you can do that, and if you could talk to the Batera, that might be the one way through this that doesn't lead to carnage.
I'm willing to try, but I'm not sure what that would look like, though. So we could, can we hear it still, Greg? Is it still like,
Oh yeah. Every so often, you can actually just hear it echoing up from down below. And every so often something bangs against obviously the inside of the elevator car. And you can now see, by the way, that the sort of even from where you are, the kind of smoking wreck of what's left of the hatch is kind of barely hanging. So every so often you just see, if you imagine you're looking down into a hole and there's something covering maybe a fifth of it, or if that, every so often you see kind of pacing back and forth.
Alfred? Alfred. How's Alfred doing?
I'm here.
Can you tell us anything about this thing now that we know what it is? Is there any reference to it in their database, in their knowledge base of any kind?
And so he starts doing some scans and searches and stuff, and he it looks classified somehow, but there's something it says it doesn't specify, it just says lockdown, but there's something about a project. I can't read it, it's all garbled. They tried to delete it. I could try to undelete it, but it's going to take a while.
Unless we've got another priority for him, guys. I think this is really important.
While we're waiting for the undeletion process, Petra, you want to just...
I'm gonna walk over to the elevator shaft and take a breath and kind of spend a few minutes listening to it and trying to kind of get a feel for it. And first, I'm going to try, after Petra feels like she's got that, closing her eyes and trying to reach it mentally.
Okay. So the first couple of minutes of that, the listening is just, you know, and every so often kind of the zzz, you know, buzzing sound again. And then when you reach out, your mind doesn't, you know, you don't really touch anything down there. It's possible there may be no access point for you. It may be that this isn't just like you have an affinity for all computers, or, and this is the part, Petra, you may not want to think about, you might need to touch it.
Yeah, I that had actually already occurred to me. Does the sound change in any way when I try to cast if
No.
Petra tries to cast her mind down?
No. Doesn't seem like you're getting through from here.
Speaking of the sound, I know to us it just sounds like gobbledygook, but Kaz does speak the Matakai language, so I'm wondering if it's, already having to filter it through Batera and how that language relates.
It doesn't sound anything like it. It sounds like, it
sounds like grunts and intelligible stuff, even from a Matakai perspective.
Yes, if you had to kind of, the eyeball it is not the right term, but if you had to guesstimate,
earball it.
This sounds like a creature in pain.
Okay.
And very angry.
Yeah, Kaz repeats, well, hey, if there's an option that involves, we also can't forget that we're on a timetable right now. We have a mission. I want to free this thing too, but that's not what we came here for. So my thinking is that, sure, maybe there's some fairy tale timeline where we can rescue this thing and rehabilitate it, return it to the Matakai or something, somehow without angering them and them killing us as a result. But I say we let it live out the rest of its life in probably the best way possible. If you know what I mean.
What's the best way possible?
Setting it against our enemies, which so happen to be the people, the monsters that did this to it. Because if we fail, it'll just continue to suffer down there anyway.
I would be okay with trying to use it against our enemies, but yeah, I don't want to leave it down there and in pain. And yeah, that's the one thing I'm opposed to. I don't want to leave it down there alone. I think we need to do something, and that seems like a reasonable plan. I could touch it maybe, but I'm afraid it will kill me before I ever reach its mind.
Maybe we could just actually do something simple. Cuz you speak Matakai, right?
I picked up most of the language. It's not
and this
too complicated.
creature is worshipped by the Matakai, usually when it's not in altered form, right, Aramis?
Ask that question again.
Usually the Matakai worship this beast almost as it's a god?
It's complicated. They revere them like they're gods, but they have a relationship that is kind of like yours and mine, strained at best.
But certainly they understand one another when they speak, is that right?
Yes, which is along the same line of thinking. I think we're on the same page here. If we can get through to it.
Yeah, Kaz, yell down the mine shaft that we come in peace, and that we want to kill the Obsidian Knights.
All right.
Hold on. Before you do that, I have I gotta say two things. Number one, when you do that, Kaz, show as much reverence as possible. I can't stress this enough. My understanding is that you need to just basically bow to this thing's superiority. Or you need to treat it like that. And the second thing is a little bit more dangerous. But do you think the part of winter that's in you would be able to tell if there's a part of winter, the long winter, in that thing?
Only one way to find out. Give me a second.
That might be worth exploring before you start talking to this thing.
And I go into the Matrix. Go inside my mind. Winter,
Yes, Kaz.
have you picked up on everything going on?
Yes. It's horrific.
What would I need to do to let you sense if this creature can be helped by you?
You'd need to have a way to interface with it. You notice, by the way, Kaz, that as you noticed before, that his voice sounds very tired. But that tracks with what you've been noticing with him dealing with, the long winter's attacks on the outside of the, trying to get into all of you. He says, you'd need to have a way to interface with him. And you have two ways of doing that.
Yeah.
One of them is to send Alfred down there, or to connect him in some way. The second is to send the only other person in your party who can connect. You have to build a bridge between Petra and that thing. Like a relay point. Petra to you, you to me to the creature.
Petra would help.
Petra
thought
would
that
be the one talking with it ultimately. You and I would be the conduit. And we would hope that, like in an old electrical wire, that we wouldn't be the ones who got shocked.
Okay. And I say, how are you doing, by the way?
Tired. But so is he. Both of us are tired. Kaz, I don't know what he would do if he found out about this place. I'm not sure how he would react.
Who?
The long winter was built to be itself. The thing it hated most was being used, enslaved. The long winter might open up everything, let everyone in this base kill each other. Or he might nuke the whole thing from orbit. He would not want this, I don't think. But he's never been a fan of organics, as you know.
All right. I'll check back with you soon. Yes.
All right.
And I Okay, so yeah, my winter says we basically need to touch it.
Oh, good.
You and me, Petra. And yeah.
So either we need to immobilize it in some fashion to touch it, or we need to somehow exhibit so much harmlessness that it does not feel like touching us.
I don't think this thing is thinking on a level cognitively about passive versus aggressive behavior. It attacked the drone, it seemed, without question, was angered by it.
Mm-hmm.
And it also seems to keep, it's even still going off, even without a threat down there. Yeah, hey, thanks. That was kind of cute. So,
You guys could go for a ride. These things are pretty sizable. Both of you could land on its back, but likely
ugh.
that
Yeah,
could be a problem.
something tells me, honestly, that its bite is probably dangerous, but everything else about it is probably just as dangerous, too. I can still yell down to it first.
Give it a shot. See what happens.
Kaz approaches the elevator shaft, and I'd like to think that, you know, the Matakai language might be a series of snarls and guttural grunts and throat sounds and things of that sort that these lizard-like beings would speak. And perhaps the reason why Kaz picked up the language so quickly is that he mimics it by releasing or activating different valves in his suit and causing vibrations that sound similar to the language to release. So like two metal pieces that click against each other sounds like this specific Matakai throat movement that only they can do, but it sounds like a metallic version of it.
This is so Philip K. Dick, just play an organ to communicate, like just, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. So Kaz, yeah, I love that. He messes with his suit and he's not even using the vocoder that he normally uses to speak in every other language, but he basically creates this like robotic metallic version of Matakai, and he shouts out, "Oh, Reverent One." And I look at Aramis.
Aramis doesn't understand what you're saying because he doesn't speak Matakai.
But
as you look over at him, he's just like,
You could have been like, "Can I have an omelet?" Like,
yeah.
You know, it's like,
I say, we have come to aid you. That's all I say for now. Just see what happens.
it seems to be more of the same.
I turn to everyone else and say, gave us the thumbs up. Let's do it, guys.
Really?
No. Well, I think, okay, how about this? Why don't we, instead of maybe just having one plan, why don't we have every plan at once? Why have just one idea when you can have all of them, you know? So what if we find a way to, a contingency plan that connects where this Batera is to where the knights are, so that let's say our goal is to go down there and distract it or fight it or get ourselves in a position to sedate it, right? And to speak with it. But let's say that goes horribly wrong, we're all about to die. Then we go to plan B, which is run to the area where we can push the door to open the door where the knights are, and then be like, "Hello, knights," and then we duck, and then it jumps over. You know?
Okay.
Have you been watching more of those really bad 80s movies?
We had a long trip. We had to get all the way from Pelseros to here, and
there's this-
you know,
I don't know if this works, guys. I don't.
it's a good plan, I think.
I mean, this sounds mostly like those comedies with like Kurt Russell just running around being a. All right. Anyways,
But we should have, at the very least, we should have a backup plan if things go wrong.
Yes.
And maybe we should just find out, first of all, if this area does somehow connect to the knights, like what the quickest way to get to the other elevator would be. Like if there is a through line or pathway.
I mean, I like that plan, Kaz. I like the plan of figuring out the layout. But my big thing is, like, I think you just told us that Long Winter says we would need to touch it to communicate. Which
Yes.
sounds to me like we can communicate with it. We just need to touch it. And if we are reverential, then we don't have to kill it. Like, the last thing we want to do is go down there and fight it for any reason. We want to save it from pain.
Yes.
So we save it from pain. We talk to it. So all we need to do is touch it before it realizes it's being
Touched.
accosted, let's say. And,
You're right.
And that can happen very quickly. Our backup plan can basically be just like your grappling hook pulls someone back up the elevator. That's someone being Petra.
Okay.
but
So-
I thought I understood that this Petra who have to be physically connected in order to
Yeah,
talk.
it would have to be me and Petra at the same time. So
Well,
that's
but I
a
can-
little. Well, let me look at my grappling hook. Hold
So
on.
here's what I'm thinking. I can make a few more constructs for us. I can make quite a few more constructs for us. And we can create distractions, we can divert attention, and then Petra, you can just run at it and touch it and talk to it.
Sleep well. What happens if this doesn't work?
Well, that's where Kaz's grappling hook pulls Petra out of there and up to safety. So we
It
get it back into
needs-
I
the
mean,
room.
what happens if Petra gets hurt?
I mean, then I would say we're all putting ourselves at risk while we're here. We're trying to figure out the best plan. Anything we do right now is risky. I would want to ask Petra what she thinks.
I've been racking my brain. I'm trying to think of ways we could disguise ourselves and get up next to it, or lure it away and have it come back, or this feels a bit precarious, this grappling hook thing, but if it's the best plan we could come up with, we've done stupider things. Not a lot of them,
Yeah.
but some.
So the grappling gun can hold up to 2 people perfectly fine. So what if Petra and I get lowered down and we just try to touch it without even alerting it to our presence? And if that goes horribly wrong, I still have our favorite little pocket dimension up there.
Yeah.
That, like, even if the grappling gun gets snapped and it's like biting one of us, I could, zip us up there.
Okay.
But yeah,
I'd forgotten the pocket dimension. That's actually yeah. I got some trepidation, but yeah. We can do this. We can
I mean,
sneak
I do
up on
too.
it.
We're not going to walk out of this without getting zapped. It's not gonna
okay.
happen.
All right.
So you have to be touching it because you're a lot sneakier than I am.
Yes. I think you have to be touching me, and then I have to be touching it.
Okay.
I have a question for the GM, and I'm looking for a little bit of
Who's that?
benevolence here.
Okay.
Oh gosh.
Wait, just a second. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to be able to use an ability to prove to demonstrate something, but without like maintaining it in any way, shape, or form. I just like to show it off really quickly. That way, preventing myself from actually eating up the talent points that could potentially come up to this situation. I would like to demonstrate. It would be like a flash and not like an actual effect.
We have a cinematic moment where we see Aramis cast Fireball, and then it rewinds, and Aramis is like, "That's what it would be like if I cast
it's like leverage, right?
Fireball."
Like, that's what it was gonna do.
It's a little bit less dramatic. It's not like crashing an airplane into a building. All right, it's a little less dramatic.
Are you showing this to your party to kind of give them a sense of like this is what?
Yes. I'm asking for a little bit of indulgence. It's not even a 5-second sort of thing. It'll become obvious when
I tell you what. How about you ask Alfred to do a computerized kind of wireframe version of that, basically, on the computer that you're looking at.
It's not going to have anywhere near the effect.
That's true. It's also not going to have anywhere near the number of talent points used.
What I mean is it's not going to have an effect and to be able to communicate.
Well,
I feel like at level 9, I should be able to activate something pretty quickly to demonstrate something.
Do you have any kind of like minor illusion or the equivalent? Because I would allow you to basically do a kind of ersatz version. You know what I mean? But
hold on just a second. It's a ring 2 ability. What I'm trying to use here, I'm going to send you what it is real quick, because it really is. I mean, it's about demonstration. It's not anywhere about using the ability.
okay, yeah, just go ahead and do that quickly because I want to make sure we're closing and wrapping here.
Yep. I just sent it to you.
Okay. In Discord or Zoom?
Zoom chat.
I don't. Oh. Okay.
I just want to flash it. I don't want anything. I want it to be.
All right. Yeah, that's fine. It's yes, that's fine.
All right. So the party.
Well, thanks for the inspiration, Dragon Spear. I'm not sure. We'll see what happens when he. That's for Aramis, but okay. So go ahead and do what you're going to do.
Thank you, Dragon Spear. All right. So what Aramis does is he turns to the group and he says, "All right." And he looks at Sweetball and he says, "This is really your bad idea, but this might be the only way to do it. Cause I'm gonna need your help to rig up something so that I can do this." And for a moment, you all look at Aramis and his form changes just for a second. It flashes as an illusion. But I look like a Madakai. And then it dissolves back. If this thing recognizes something that it does not like or has disdain for, but expects some sort of social class hierarchy, grace, whatever, I might be able to distract it long enough for Petra to be able to touch it. And if we can rig up something that my voice or your voice speaks in Madakai, it might give Petra enough time to be able to touch it. And I look back at Sleeple and say, but this was your bad idea.
I mean, you are adding all sorts of bad ideas right on top of mine, buddy. This is now putting 3 party members in danger. I have an ability that will help, let's say, Petra absorb an attack and not die from it. That's all I was thinking. I think if you're going to basically turn yourself into a form that will specifically make it angrier, you will need more rescuing than either Petra or Kaz.
That's why we're going to figure out if we can open those doors up before it becomes a problem. Because I'll just let it follow me into the other side.
I think if we were doing my original plan of like almost like fighting it and then trying to touch it while we're fighting it, and then if it goes wrong, but if Petra and I are rappelling down, then if you drag it away, then we have to follow after it. Then we could all get sort of split up. It could corner us. I think it's a good plan, but I think we should try it with the base elements first, which is just me and Petra going down, trying to touch it without any distractions, without anything. Just seeing if this works as quickly as just a little boop on the nose, you know, then we don't have to worry about any of that.
How could it not be as easy as a boop on the nose?
I know.
I think we all four of us need to be down there. I need to be the medic on hand. I think, Aramis, we might need that distraction, you know, very quickly. But I think if we touch it, good things could happen.
So we're not reeling down. We are all going down.
I think to the top of the elevator. Just the roof of the elevator.
When I look down, you mean the melting top of the elevator? Even it agrees that's not a good idea.
To clarify, by the way, the top of the elevator is whole, but the hatch is blown to hell.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I say we rappel down. Just me and Petra. That's what I say.
Just scream into your comms if you need a medic.
Well, someone's gonna have to reel us up.
Yeah.
So I guess you guys will have to stay up here.
How far is down the shaft?
About 30 feet, maybe 35.
It's really important. 30 or 35.
It's you're pretty confident it's 30 to the top of the elevator.
And probably 35
into the bottom of the car. But yeah, I was
ground.
gonna say, yeah, like.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so Petra and Kaz, are you?
I am currently tying Petra up because she's going to be the back end of the chain,
right?
And then she will be holding me.
Yep.
And then I will be the one doing the touching.
This is the greatest visual of all time. Okay, and then Aramis is going to, and then is it Aramis or Sleep? But Sleepwell's up at the top, right? Who's lowering Petra with Kaz down? Like, okay, Aramis is lowering them down with Sleepwell there, sort of.
Well, but yeah, and before they go down, I say to Petra, I got a present for you.
Ooh.
And I'm going to use my Esper power micro stabilizer on her. And what this does is the first time a target would drop to 0 hit points as a result of taking damage, the target instead drops to 1 hit point.
I love this power. This is the best power ever.
That is a good power. So
It's the
Petra, go
best
ahead and place a
thing
note there. It's a good idea.
Since cheese on a hammer.
And it just as a secondary result,
Guava paste.
if there's like an instant kill effect, it just bounces once.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. All right. So Aramis, then you begin to, if I understand this correctly, lower Petra, who is holding Kaz, right? All right. So that goes all the way down, and of course, as you're going down, louder and louder. And you finally get to the top of the elevator, and Kaz, as you sort of peer over the hatch, the broken hatch, and look down, you suddenly see staring up at you, this metal-infused face sparking. But that's, and you're, so you're prepared, right? And then you hear, but it's not the one that's looking at you.
There's more than one.
And as you look up, you see another creature, just a little smaller, but with the same metal, staring over the other one at you. And as you look at the two of them, we're going to bring this session to a close.
Ah!
That was a bad idea.
I love that visual.
yeah,
The visual is so good. Just like lowering down the elevator shaft, the two of you.
Yeah.
Zach. Exactly. That's the visual. That's the perfect visual. Yay. Oh my God. So good. Yeah, and this kind of thing. I'd love to go for 20 hours, but no, I want to make sure that we wrap at a reasonable hour. Really, really good stuff, everybody. I'm so happy that we got this going and that we have our August session sets that we'll be able to go right back into it. Won't have to wait for 6 weeks before we play again. I am going to start this time with the person who's going up and down in the chair. And that, of course, is Mr. Zach Clay. Great stuff out of Kaz today. Everybody had really good session today with a lot of good ideas and a lot of good role play, and a lot of good concepts and ideas to sort of bring to bear of what is a very dangerous situation no matter what you do. And I was really curious which area you were going to go down. Like, were you going to deal with the knights or were you going to go down this way? I'm kind of happy you went down this way because this is so much like creepier in a way, but I either way, it was a lot of fun to see. And the connection with you and the Long Winter and the way that each of you, Petra in her own way, can interact with certain aspects of AI, but then you've got your own sort of built-in, so to speak, Zach, AI with Kaz right now, was interesting to me. And chaining it together this way is even more like, whoa. So it was cool stuff. How did you feel about today's session? Where will the lovely folks find you next?
Oh boy. Ay. We're gonna need a bigger grappling gun. Or yeah, we did not ask for 2, but it's not. Oh god.
Next 2 weeks is
So that's gonna
like,
be,
oh god.
yeah. I'll be eating my breakfast and I'll just be staring off into space thinking about how there are 2 of them now. But maybe the smaller one is easier to.
You had 3
help.
different plans. You just use 1 on one and 2 on the other, right? Like you had plenty.
Yeah. So, we'll have to see what happens and how it goes terribly wrong next time on Esper Genesis. The lovely people will find me then, also for our vocalists here on this channel, and also as we are finishing up our Alien series, which was referenced earlier at the start of the session on the Unmade Gaming channel. We're finishing up the sessions there. I think we're having a Patreon only Mystery Science Theater version of Alien, which is going to be very interesting. So that's going to be happening, and in other places on the internet soon, or maybe not. But yeah, that's me. I had a lot of fun.
Good stuff, Zach. Very good work as always. I will speak to you soon. Carlos, sleep well. Obviously got a whole lot of stuff done as well. The construct, Sleepwell's first exploration down that area, coming up with potential plans. All of that was interesting to watch, and was another example of everyone thinking through ways around this situation and trying to use their own unique skills. This is the benefit as you get higher levels, right? Being able to have these other things where like micro-stabilizer, like this is a good idea under the circumstances, and trying to process information as you get it, even when that information is potentially overwhelming. So it was really interesting to see you kind of work through that intellectually too. How'd you feel about today's session? Where will the fine folks find you?
Yeah, tons of fun. I mean, we're here for the drama, right? So So here it comes. It's a really good, striking visual image, and I will, be staring off into space over my breakfast, imagining Zach staring off into space over his breakfast for the next 2 weeks. So
That's the connection. It works.
Over the next I think before we meet, I don't have too much to report since I'm going on vacation. I'm just gonna be cruising over the American highways and byways and stopping at different ironworks and stuff. So happy vacation to me. I'm really looking forward to it. And then we're back.
It's good stuff. Thanks, Carlos. And drive safe and good luck with the Ironworks vacay. And we will see you back here for our next session. It's going to be good times. Kat, again, it was really fun stuff out of Petra too. The grenades, of course, I was wondering, everyone was like gung ho about it. And you're just like, I don't want to drop it down the elevator shaft to kill this thing now. Like maybe, but I don't want to, leave it in pain. But it was interesting then that the question was, which one of your, again, Kaz's or Petra's abilities to communicate in this way because of this weird hybrid bioorganic intelligencing thing is going to be used for this. And so Petra really had to think about how to use that particular ability, even though this whole thing is madness. I mean, I love the fact where you were just like, we've done stupider things, like not many, but that was fun to watch. And it was fun to see Petra work through this and try to figure this out with everybody else. How'd you feel about today? Where will the lovely folks find you next?
I thought it was a lot of fun, as always. I am not happy that there are two of the creatures. I will also be staring off into space over breakfast. Where can you find me next? Launchpad is coming up, and I will be at RustyCon and Origins in September as well.
Yes.
Lots of excitement.
I'm excited about Origins as well. And I should mention very quickly to chat that we have already potential dates for August that we think we are looking at. I think we're looking at the 13th and the 27th. Was the thing that I think the 4 players said was possible. So anyway, just be aware of that, chat, as we go through. Finally, last but certainly not least, Johnny, great stuff today as well. Aramis was, also having to think through about like, wait a minute, maybe we could do this. And I did like the idea that you having this connection with the Matakai and of course this kind of quest that's in, you want to do at some point meant you had to think about the Batera. And the question is, are you dealing with a Batera or something that's close enough to a Batera, or has it been too twisted by its experience? And that to me was really fascinating because you were thinking about it in terms of honoring, what the Matakai were, and maybe that's a way to reach through to it. Even that because you were like, this is really bad. Like that was the first part. You're like, this is not at all good. And it was fun to see Aramis's take on it from that point of view. How'd you feel about today? Where will the lovely folks find you next?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you say something? I was just thinking about the fact that there were these two creatures that Patrick. I'm sorry. Can you do all of that again? There are fewer sessions I've ever played in a game that end in this particular type of way. So many plans, whatever. You've got a dramatic moment, and then you've got a dramatic moment that builds on that other dramatic moment to the point where I think I looked at all of us, just individually on screen, that wasn't you, Greg, and we were all just like, fuck, right? It was a huge dramatic, just sort of like everybody just sort of sunk just a tiny bit into their chair. And that is a fantastic and terrible moment. And I love the pleasure that GMs get out of that. I have had a few of those in my lifetime as a GM as well. So thank you for what you did there. That was pretty terrible.
My pleasure. I can't wait to see you get out of the terrible situation. That's what I'm excited about.
I still think that we're dead. But anyways, no, I absolutely loved it. It was a great time. And the dramatic nature and the way that the 4 of us were getting a chance to really kind of like insert ourselves in interesting ways. It felt like there was a lot of balance over the story today. What happens next time is of course all going to be dependent on Petra. So just no pressure.
Yeah. Petra will have to stare breakfast and dinner off into space. So
right. So I am heading on some sort of long adventure to take my daughter and move her across country from California to New York City. So you won't be seeing much of me except for here when I'm next for our next session, because I will actually be on the road in the middle of that trip from somewhere in America that still has yet to be determined. So that's where you'll find me until then. Until then, I'm going to be freaking out as a parent, going, I'm taking my daughter to New York and I'm leaving her there. I'm not comfortable with this, but yeah,
It's okay.
it'll be a good time.
Carlos and I both survived it. It's possible.
Yeah, look at me. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see how fine you are, buddy.
Oh, man. This was great
Yeah.
stuff. I will let the players go. Wonderful stuff, everybody. I'm so excited for next sessions. Everyone be well. Chat, can we get some love for, as always, Johnny Pittman, for Cap Rambo, for Carlos Hernandez, and for Zach Clay. Great stuff today, players. Thank you so much, and I will see you lovely folks soon.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Kat.
Greg,
Always a pleasure. Bye,
for
folks.
all your noises.
Yeah, that was
Oh man. All right. That was awesome. I really, for reasons I won't get into, I wanted to make sure that we had to bring that to a close, but I was really hoping that we were going to get a moment of them sort of like, the kind of drifting down the elevator shaft, so to speak, and man, that was sick. I really am glad that we got a chance to do some of that. And the thing is that all of the plans that were being considered were reasonable options, like none of them are options that are stupid or like, oh, why would you do that? Like they all make sense. And one of the things, I mean, all jokes aside, like it's true, GMs do like to put, very much like authors, do like to put characters in very effed up situations. But the reason that a lot of ones do that, now some people say that they do it because like mad scientists like they want to see how will the person deal with suffering, like maybe. My thing has always been that I love seeing what they do to get out of it. Like I'm about the story, and I'm about the people having fun while they're engaged in the story and telling epic stories of various kinds, right? And so I'm interested in seeing how they come through with this idea. And that really is what is exciting to me, is they're going to be staring off at breakfast thinking about the fact that there's two of them. No, there are two of them. And the question is, what are they going to do about the two of them? Are they going to stick to the plan? Are they going to just be like, you know what, we're going to touch the first freaking cyber Batera, whatever the hell it is, and we're just gonna go that way? Like, what are we gonna do? And I love that idea that there is this question in their mind of how are we going to manage this, and then as humans do, we then process how do we manage the unmanageable. And I think that's the best of it, right? That's when you're really, that's when you know you're onto something. Hey, what's up, Rising Tides? Good to see you, man. That's when you're onto it, is that kind of sort of stuff. So I'm super excited to see it happen. I'm really glad that we got a chance to play again today. I know it wasn't easy for all the players to be here, so I appreciate the fact that they sacrificed to be able to do it. And as I said, you'll be able to see them. Right now, we are tentatively looking at August 13th and August 27th, which is respectively 2 weeks from now and 4 weeks from now. So 2 weeks and 4 weeks from now is when we're going to have our Esper Genesis sessions, which is great. That's when I normally like to have them. Sadly, yes, this was a fun session too. This one was fun, Brandon. This was good. Like I was enjoying watching them deal with this nonsense, like, whatever it was. So it's going to be really good. And this is a good group. Obviously, it's a very good group, and I think they will be able to make their way through it. So space bases. You know what this would remind you a lot of, by the way, Rising Tides? This would remind you a lot of Metroid Fusion. Tonight's episode was the Metroid Fusion episode, a little bit. So it was cool. I am excited for, basically, yeah. I'm excited to see how it comes out. So hopefully, once you have a chance to maybe take a look at the VOD, you might see what I mean. But I hope you folks enjoyed that. And remember, that's not quite the end of our tabletop role playing for the month, because tomorrow we have got D&D with I&B. Yeah, did you? Right. Yeah, it's a little bit of that. But tomorrow, D&D, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Prince Justin. And if you did, D&D with Infinity and Beyond is tomorrow with more of Eberron, Oracle of War. That campaign is awesome too. I mean, it's been going really well. The players are really getting into that, and we've got a new video coming up for that. I don't think that's going to be ready by tomorrow, but it will definitely be here for our August sessions, and that video is going to be sick. Like the work that's being done by Peripheral Mike with music from Chrono Wolf, and possibly, a little bit, we might have some Greenforge Studio work going in there too. All really cool. So I'm excited to be able to see how that all comes out. You still have an inspiration. That's right. For those of you who haven't used an inspiration yet, tomorrow's going to be your last chance for the month, and then it all resets. So you're going to want to make sure that you got this stuff together for that. But it's going to be super, super cool. I wanted to mention, so that's August 13th and 27th for that. I don't think I have INB numbers yet, but I'll try to get those as soon as I can. But that's going to be happening tomorrow. I want to check, but Rising Tides, can you do me a favor and confirm for me? Was one of the days you were thinking about this coming Sunday, the 1st? Was Sunday the 1st of August one of the potential days we were thinking about, or is that not on the docket? And I'm just crazy, which is quite possible. Soundclash Day. Okay, cool. That's what I thought might be the case. So actually, chat, that means that you're gonna not even be left for a moment without some awesome tabletop play. So we had Esper Genesis tonight. We've got D&D with INB tomorrow, Saturday night, and then on Sunday there is some Soundclash awesomeness coming your way. So we got that going on, and then Monday is off, and then Tuesday we'll be back into it. The hope is that we're going to get a gamebook illustration stream on Tuesday during our normal time, which will be the first Tuesday of August, and then we will have for GOG, we'll be over on GOG with Pen and Pixels playing some more Solasta. So that's what we've got going on. And then we'll get the community D&D going on, and we'll have a bunch of other stuff. So it's all going to be good. And we also have D&D with viewers coming up this month in August. But I will say that D&D with viewers, remember, is going to be some more Legacy of Dragonholt. So I'm hoping to get in a good long Legacy of Dragonholt session with chat this month. So there's going to be some good stuff coming in there. And if all that sounds good to you, then please make sure to support the channel in all the ways that you can. First of all, by being here. That's the most important thing. Secondly, by following the channel. That's always a great thing. Thirdly, by supporting the channel in one of many ways. You can check out our YouTube at !ArvTube. Please subscribe to me over there as well. It's free to subscribe over there on YouTube, but it is really helpful because it allows me to move towards the possible monetization of the YouTube channel, which is just going to be a good thing if anything were to ever happen to Twitch. I don't anticipate that. I love this community, but if there ever were, I'd like a place for us to land, virtually speaking. So that'll be over on YouTube, !ArvTube. Oh, okay. Community D&D is possible for Wednesday. Okay, that's right. You had thought about it. So cool. Maybe so. Maybe we will get in a D&D session with community D&D folks with the Shadow Crew and Shadowed Mage. Maybe we'll get that coming up on Wednesday. So that would be lovely. So what was I saying? So we've got the schedule. So the schedule. That's what we've got going on. And then we've got the YouTube, and then we've got the Discord, !ArvCord. You can hang out with the Arvanauts in between streams. !Arv Tweets is the Twitter, of course. And of course, the website is arvanelaron.com. On the financial side, !Arv Shop for the merchandise area. !Arv Treon right there is that Patreon. And that's what allows me to do things like pay Shadowed Mage for something awesome like that. I really love this, and I'm really happy we're doing this now. It means that I have to add a separate scene into OBS, but frankly, going from this to see the map up to this is so cool. Like, that way we get the map if you need it. We have the combat map, but then we get this, and it really does help to be able to see people's reactions even closer up. So that kind of thing is made possible through the Patreon. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot you hadn't seen that, Rising Tides. Yeah, isn't that slick? Shadow Mage just did that. So we've got the Eberron cams only now. We've got this cams only. We're working on getting an Adventures of Middle-earth cams only. So we're looking at that too, because just having an additional place to do this, I love this, dude. I love this. And actually we have, but technically I guess Blades in the Dark always has Blades, like the Blades overlay kind of has a sort of a larger cam look anyway, and Soundclash sort of does as well. But yeah, having sort of this cams only and then being able to switch to map cams only, and then back to that is pretty sweet. So I'm very happy with it. And Shadow Mage surprised me with it today. Shadow Mage was like, hey, I got this thing. And I'm like, dude, you are the wind beneath my wings. So anyway, I can pay Shadow Mage thanks to that Patreon. So thank you for that support. And also, the Patreon can give you individual benefits as well, including inspirations to help the players. And all of that is always a good thing. So please consider jumping on board with that and subbing to the channel, which allows you to get those custom sub badges. Again, there's a bunch more of those sub badges, which are on their way again from one Mr. Shadow Mage, and the emotes, of course, which you'll be able to use everywhere across Twitch. And if you haven't done so already, please consider supporting us on the publishing side. Exclamation point Icarus for my Icarus graphic novel from Athos Arts. Athos Arts also doing the Gray Shade book, which is going to be coming soon. The Kickstarter for Gray Shade is launching for, I think is it 4 weeks? Or is it 5 weeks? Let's see from here. No, it's actually 4 weeks from this coming Tuesday. From this Tuesday, it's 4 weeks away from the launch of the Gray Shade Kickstarter, which will feature the last 2 books in that series, Renegade and Heretic. It will feature a board game done by Clarion Game Studios and designed by Dylan Bertolo, a tabletop role-playing game done by Alligator Alley Entertainment and designed by Aaron Rosenberg, and of course, the audiobook done by Trendane Sparks of my books done by me. So that's going to be very exciting, plus some surprises as well. That's Alligator Alley Entertainment, so exclamation point Gray Shade KS for that. And Alligator Alley Entertainment, that is doing the tabletop role-playing game for that, was also, of course, doing the, also did the Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library, the 5e Adventure and Sourcebook, and of course sponsors this very campaign, Esper Genesis. So all of that is made possible through them. And again, that one is exclamation point library if you want to find out more details about that. And as always, exclamation point BLM, Black Lives Matter, very important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives, as we always say, that remains enormously important. And exclamation point Help Now, which is the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Very important to reach out to others when they need help and to reach out to others when you need help as well. That is going to do it for me for this evening, but we are going to do a raid today. Let's see who we're going to raid. Let's see who I've got up. Who have I got up and ready for raidable purposes? Oh man, I think I see. Oh yeah, I totally. Okay, hold on a second. Let me see if this is like. Okay. Absolutely, I know who we're going to raid. This is perfect, actually, based on the subject matter of tonight's stream. So this is 100% perfect. That is, so that's going to do it for me. The way we do raids are very simple. If you are not a sub, all you have to do is cut and paste this, which is the Arvanauts Have Landed, followed by Twitch raid, lowercase Twitch, uppercase R, lowercase AID. If you are a sub, you're going to do this. The Arvanauts Have Landed. You've got Arvany Hype, Twitch raid. You got Arvany Roar, Arvany Witch, Arvany What, Arvany Smug, Arvany Woe, Arvany Love, all the Arvanys, which you can drop down there as soon as you get into the place where you will automatically be brought. I want to thank the amazing mods tonight. Thank you to Dragonspear, J-Rab, Rock God, Shadowed Mage, The Rising Tides, of course, who just showed up, and Triffity Mats. Good to see all of you wonderful people, the best in the business. Thank you to my subscribers. Thank you to Dragon, to Jay, to Rock, to Shadow, to Rising Tides, to Triffid. Thank you to Blackberry Bear, to Lone Wolf, Mrs. Dunsel, Prince Justin. Thank you so much as well to the Patreon supporters in this group, and thank you to my wonderful viewers. Thank you to, as always, Cat Rambo. Thank you to Chemergs. Thank you to Determinologies, Expressways, Freeweed, Gigafrost, Ms. Lenity. Thank you to Azahala. Thank you to Tontoms. Thank you to Thordex Mommy. Thank you to Timaeus, you Christensen, V&K, and of course Video Store Cowboy. And while we're on the subject of people like Cat Rambo and Video Store Cowboy, special thanks today to my wonderful players. Thank you to Johnny Pittman, Video Store Cowboy. Thank you to Cat Rambo. Thank you to Carlos Hernandez. And thank you to Zach Clay for being an amazing group. That is going to do it for me. Please stick around for the raid, and I will see you lovely people very soon. Until I see you tomorrow for some D&D with Infinity and Beyond, Eberron, Oracle of War. Please, everyone, be good to each other. Bye for now.
When I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I grew older, I set aside childish ways. Corinthians 13:11. In the distant future, mankind has spread into the stars and found it is not alone. Within the cluster of planets known as the Silrain Heart, many races strive for survival or supremacy. But throughout this array of planets, societies, and cultures, each has one thing in common: the crucibles. Scattered throughout the galaxy, each moon-sized structure contains a core of raw sorin, a form of mysterious energy used to power ships, cities, and sometimes the warping of the fabric of reality itself. Beings who can do this have been given a name: Espers. The power of God has been granted to God's children. It is a time of terror. It is a time of wonder. It is the time of Esper Genesis.